Steve Dangle Podcast. Powered by Sports Interaction. Want to bet?
The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
So we're still alive.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
All right. So we got the leaderboard here for Dangle Picks. Do you guys want to hear your results?
I bet I was really good.
I haven't looked. Well, don't look. Steve, out of 1,303 entries for Game 4, a lot of Leaf fans took the depression night off. I guess you don't want your Pronger signed jersey. Fine. Steve Dangle had 11 points, which put him 614th.
Wow.
Adam Wilde with...
very good.
No, I'm saying wow because 11 points is good. The rank is terrible.
Yeah, I think it's
I'm barely halfway there.
22 possible points.
no.
Adam Wilde got...
I had 2 last time.
It's a math test sort of answer for me. I got 14 out of 22, so I'm 156th.
Hey.
That's really good.
And with 16 points, Jesse Blake in 72nd.
Oh, let's
Whoa.
Congratulations to L. Coburn, 24, with 22 full points. Number 1 on the board. Get your Chris Pronger signed jersey. Mellops, you get the $250 SDPN voucher for SDPN merch. And based on Beast, $100 SDPN voucher for SDPN merch.
I think out of the three of us, my average has been the highest.
Oh, yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I don't know what that says about me, but I'm good at picking dangles.
I
true.
think it means you're least likely to bet on the Leafs. You traitor.
No, that's only one of the categories is who wins the game.
Okay, have you ever bet against the Leafs on Dangle Picks?
For who's going to win the game?
Yes.
I bet the Leafs to lose Tampa Game 5 because I said it on the show that they were going to go in 6. So
bum.
I said that, and I got that one correct.
Yes, you did.
Otherwise, I've always selected the Leafs.
Well, good for you.
I
Let's go.
want to read you a passage from the Bible of Down Goes Brown.
Oh, thought the actual Bible.
No.
King George version?
Never read King James, by the way. King James, that's the one who had it translated from Latin to Common English.
Okay.
There you go. The King James Bible. I don't never read it, but I do know the history. Now, here's what Down Goes Brown wrote in the article quoted as, "The ridiculous Maple Leafs team is at the end of an era. Fans might as well enjoy it." And I loved this Zen passage. He said, "It ends in one of two ways. Either with one of the greatest comebacks in playoff history, as a team that can't win when it matters, finds a way to do it 4 straight times, and finally, mercifully, permanently slays its own well-earned reputation for always playing down to the moment. Or it ends in defeat. Maybe even a humiliating sweep, at which point the process of tearing it all down finally begins." That was what was at stake last night. And
that dude,
he's amazing, eh?
I mean,
it's just that this article is fucking poetry. It's amazing.
he's the guy who rises to the moment.
Yes.
DGB always rises to the moment.
Unlike
Like,
the Leafs.
What a
Well, hey, they did.
Oh, it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And it is, as we talked about, there's 2 sides of Leafs Twitter after Game 3, which was the militantly positive. And the only way you can make a militantly positive Leaf fan angry is by telling them that they might be militantly positive. By telling them that they're maybe not seeing the forest through the trees. And they'll tell you that you're negative and that you're a hater. And then there's the rest of Leafs Nation who have been here before for a very long time. And I mean, God, we're in our mid-30s. And we already feel like we've been here a long time. And people were understandably upset after Game 3.
I don't like to... I trust our social media department very much, so I don't like to give them too much instruction. And when I saw that the Draisaitl is better than any Leaf ever clip didn't go up, I was like, sick. And then it went up, and I went, well, dodged that bullet for a little bit. And my mentions were awful.
So, the Toronto Maple Leafs made some tweaks yesterday. And they started with Yarncroke, Matthews, Marner.
Good, great.
Tavares, Nylander.
Go, yeah, for sure. Who else?
Kerfoot.
Oh, fuck. All right.
Then you had Bunting, Achari, O'Reilly.
It's hard to complain about Kerfoot on the second line because I really like that third line.
Has Ron McLean made a Gordon Lightfoot Kerfoot reference?
Oh.
Like that's
I don't know.
That's a good
That's
question.
up on a T for him.
Dude, I haven't seen that guy in so long.
What, Ron McLean?
Yeah, because
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
always bloody working.
Oh, yeah, because you do Saturday nights.
I never get
Oh,
to,
wow.
oh, man, did you see this? Nope.
Oh, you're right.
Always.
Yeah, you're doing every
I
Saturday.
guess you don't
yeah.
watch intermissions either.
No.
Yeah.
Because I can't.
Well, I'm
working.
always
No,
like-
well, you don't stream all intermission. Like sometimes they play like Emily Agar doing something fun with a wrestler. Or
Yeah.
something, you
No,
know?
I go
So we
upstairs,
can go pee.
get a snack, go to the bathroom. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always
I
like,
go back to work.
Yeah.
I'm always like, yo, whenever I'm watching with Natalie, I'm like, is Steve ever going to wrap this up and go to the bathroom? Does he realize the period's going to start in like 2 minutes? Like he'll just keep talking through the whole intermission. I'm like, yo, man, just take a breather. It's all good. Like you've been giving her.
I know how to walk a tightrope. my friend.
So on the fourth line, the Leafs had David Kampf, Sam Lafferty, and Mark Giordano.
Because he was the extra D.
That's right. Morgan Riley, Luke Shen, TJ Brody, Justin Hall, Jake McCaig, Timothy Liljegren. 11-7. It's worked for them before. It worked against Tampa. It worked in, it didn't work in game 3. But we were hoping that it might work in game 4.
You know, it's a change to the lineup that I got to praise Keefe for, although there is one thing I want to criticize. We'll get there later. But Brody being such a steady force for them back there, going from the right to the left, is like, that's a big difference.
It is
And
a
if
big
you're the
difference.
Panthers, like that's a, you know, I mean, you're always attacking McCabe's side, I assume, when that pairing is together. Not only do you break the pairing up, but you throw him on the other side. It's a difficult adjustment, I think.
I think so. Probably more difficult than we would have thought. And the first period kind of started like they were back and forth. I mean, 5-10 minutes in, not much has happened. There have been some shots. They're like 3-3, and then I think the Panthers went up 5-3 in shots. And then finally, about 12 minutes in, we get Justin Hall taking a penalty for cross-checking, which is surprising because they haven't really been calling anything.
Right.
Both sides could have had 2 or 3 penalties in the first 10 minutes called against each.
However, he broke his stick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The cross checking was so blatant that
Yeah.
you can't do it. You
Any
can't
of the
not call
penalties against the Leafs last night, I have no argument against them.
There should have been a couple more on each side, which
Yes.
is playoff
Yes.
hockey.
Right.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know why I said 12 minutes in. I meant 18 minutes in. This is
Same thing.
So here's the thing, though. When Justin Hall takes that penalty, it's in that caution zone where you don't want to be letting in a goal, which is right before the period ends. And
He didn't
with
think in a million years that was going to happen either.
no,
He throws his hands up like, what? Well, your stick broke.
that's what happens. Now, obviously, the Leafs made it through that. Also, I want to say that another highlight of that period was the Leafs somehow screwing up a 4-on-1. I'm not sure.
Shoot!
Oh, yeah.
That was bad. We haven't made enough about that. That is really bad.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Who came back and made the nice play on the puck? Was it Bennett? Because it was 4-on-1, and then the Panthers player eventually caught up because nobody wanted to shoot the puck, and he made the play. I forget.
Bennett, maybe Reinhart.
Yeah.
All I know is Nylander, he's like, well, I got Tavares in front. Might as well pass. Shoot it!
Right.
Yeah.
Credit to the Panthers player for not giving up on the play and like hustling back,
Yeah.
but there shouldn't have been enough time for a player to interrupt the 4-on-1. You got to make a decision. You got to be a little quicker on the
Shoot low
puck.
and get a rebound. That's the way to solve Bob.
Dude, anything.
You have a net front guy in the middle and a net front guy on the left. Shoot. Maybe you beat him. Point blank. Or you get a rebound. Or anything but what you did. Like even Tavares, like when he got the puck, he's like, are you sure? Okay.
So
He had a great game, though.
So after the first period, I mean, I wouldn't say that either team looked great, but from a Leafs fan perspective, I think you have to feel pretty zen about that. It was a pretty good period.
No, you don't.
Why don't you have to feel good about the first period?
Well, I felt great about it.
I did too.
But again, so I don't see the chat because if I'm just monitoring the chat, I'm not going to be focusing on the game. You know me. It'd be a terrible show. And then I check Twitter after, and sometimes I'm alarmed by how little the public mood matches what I saw. And people were really pissed. They didn't like that period.
I didn't think it was a bad period. I think that was something to build off of.
They only had 6 shots, which is bad. The Panthers had 7. That is not much better. And they also had a power play out of it. It it was low event,
Yes.
which is boring, but I don't know if you've noticed, this has been an extremely high event series, and the Panthers were up 3-0.
It works for them. High event is working for them right now. Stay away from the high event.
Yeah, we've got to adjust our expectations for this team. I don't think they're the run and gun Leafs of a few years ago. These guys thrive in boring games.
Yeah, we've been saying that all season. This isn't like a speedy team.
No, they're not. The Leafs are not speedy.
Yeah, we've been like the three of us been sitting here saying that, but I think the expectation of some fans is that this team can keep up with the likes of Florida and New Jersey, like the teams that are who play off of the rush all the time and capitalize on neutral zone turnovers. And the Leafs aren't that team.
They're not a rush team.
No.
Panthers are throwing like fucking Hail Mary bombs down the ice.
Oh, yeah.
That's not what the Leafs do anymore.
Those
Finally
fucking
stopped working.
tosses to the other blue line that Florida does, they're beautiful.
They
But
are.
that's
They're
not-
working.
That's not the game the Leafs play.
And
Sorry.
well, sorry, the unpopular in the analytics debate that heated up a little bit yesterday, they did try harder. I'm sorry, they did. The effort was there. Mistakes were still made. They were able to recover from them because they gave a little bit more.
For a game that relies a lot on luck because it's a bouncing rubber disc on ice, effort comes into play.
Yeah.
Like it's unlike a lot of sports where you can out-try your opponents and that'll help you either if it's 2%, if it's 5% in your wintometer, it helps.
So I like the win-to-meter. I like that way better than the shoulda won a meter or whatever that. What's the one that deserved to win a meter?
Deserve to win to meter. That's what it's called.
Which is still just a great name.
It is. It is actually good. It's so good. Now, I have a question for you guys. I want to rewind a trade deadline. Okay, of the 5 names that the Leafs got, tell me the 2 that were the least exciting.
Ryan O'Reilly and Jake McCabe.
The least exciting.
I know. I guess Sam Lafferty and
Eric Gustafson is the other.
oh,
answer.
Eric Gustafson. It was
right.
like, who's the?
Yeah. One of
Trading
those.
away Sandine.
One of those players, Kevin Papetti rightly asked, because Kevin Papetti is a good tweeter. Mm-hmm. He said, "I'm surprised that Sam Lafferty doesn't play on the PK." Do you know why he's surprised that Sam Lafferty doesn't play on the PK?
I saw this tweet. He lead the league in shorthanded goals
This season?
That's so dumb.
What?
And he's never played on the Leafs penalty kill.
Are you serious?
He led the league.
He had no shorties with Toronto.
No, because he didn't play.
So all of them came before he was traded to Toronto,
Yeah.
and he still led
on
the
the
league
shitty Blackhawks.
Now,
in shorthanded goals.
here's what I want to know.
Holy
And yes, I
cow.
am being a pain in the ass, but it's a legitimate question. Okay, he led the league in shorthanded goals. How many was it? Like 5?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, did the Blackhawks get absolutely shelled when he wasn't scoring 5 goals?
I would imagine, though, it has more to do with the fact that
Peter Mrazek was their goaltender?
yeah, there's that, and the fact that the Leafs would probably have a better system for which Sam Lafferty could play into. And I'm not saying he needs to be on it all the time, but you could cycle him in every once in a while. Give those guys a bit of a break.
I don't know. I thought he had a good game. I think
did
he's
have
had
a
a
good
good
game.
series.
He has way more effective than he was against Tampa.
Camp too.
I got the number. And
What's the number?
It's a little disappointing. Sam Lafferty did not lead the league in shorthanded goals.
At one point, he did.
At one point, he did. Elias Pettersson led the league in shorthanded
He
goals.
sucks.
Oh,
He was tied with JT Miller, and I thought Vancouver would be up there because they had that unreal run where they just kept getting shorties, and it was Pettersson to Miller all day long.
him and Miller are 1 and 2 because it was literally like 2 weeks where they were just like, "Fuck you, power kill."
Yeah.
And they
so
scored 1,000 goals.
Pettersson and Miller are 1-2. They both have 5 this season. Sam Lafferty tied for 3rd with a bunch of other guys with 4, which is not insignificant.
No,
That means something. He had 4 shorthanded goals.
but it's 4. Like I think we're getting lost in that, right? Like Miller and Pettersson, I look at and I'm like, well, that's a duo. That's 10 goals. Lafferty, it's 4 goals
On the shitty Blackhawks.
I know it's
That's
on the
worth
shitty
like 10
Blackhawks.
goals.
Yeah, but like, what if they're just cheating for offense all the time because their defense is so bullshit? I don't know. Like I'm
I just
making
feel
this
like
up.
I feel like there's an opportunity there. You could give him a shot.
How about this?
maybe.
You think it's pairs. That means something. Sam Lafferty tied for 3rd with
Somebody from the Blackhawks.
Mitch Marner.
Oh,
Hey!
now
Also
there's a
had
pair.
4. So maybe if you team them up on the penalty kill, they could have done some good things.
And the Blackhawks were objectively terrible, so you have to count his 4 goals as 8 goals. So Mitch Marner and Sam Lafferty are better than JT Miller and Elias Pettersson.
And this was such
Way it
a
is.
criticism of mine. Remember when the Leafs didn't have a true center on the penalty kill for like 2 years?
Yeah. And Zach Hyman was taking them?
Yeah. And now they have like 5
Yep.
they could use.
Yep.
O'Reilly, Achari, Kampf, Lafferty in a pinch if you wanted to. Anyway, we're getting caught up.
So
in boring
we go
minutia.
to the second period. And strangely enough, it happened again. Michael Bunting drew a penalty at 17:30. That is the first penalty that the Leafs have had called against Florida, I guess, since Game 2. Works out to be 109 minutes and 46 seconds of ice time.
And there was still controversy about it.
Well, because Michael Bunting was bleeding, but the ref said, no, that was probably your visor.
Who gives a shit if it was his visor? The reason his visor moved is because he was high-sticked.
So we got a peek into what the NHL thinks of Michael Bunting when it went to intermission. Because Dallas Eakins is on the panel right now for Sportsnet.
Who has already said Bunting held his neck when Bennett cross-checked him.
Yep. And when they went, this was the first thing they talked about in intermission. And before getting into, he thinks that it should have been 4 and that the refs missed it. He says, I don't like that he goes down like he's been shot. He had to qualify defending Michael Bunting not getting the call by first criticizing him for, and that's the quote, he went down like he got shot. I don't like when guys do that. So, and this is a guy who's a current head coach of a National Hockey League team. And this is how he looks at Michael Bunting. I'm just going to extrapolate. This is how the majority of the league looks at Michael Bunting, which is not how it should be, because as Steve said, this is a sport with rules. You have to call the rules, no matter who is on the ice, who is on the other end of the penalty call. If he's bleeding, you have to call it.
I'm very lucky that I get to watch more hockey than most people on account of it's my job. Hat picks, dang it's, but also watching live out of market games. And what's great for that as a Leaf fan is you realize there are other shitheads in the league other than Michael Bunting. A lot of players do this.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of players react this way. No one likes him. Listen, I don't know. Maybe it's the Step Brothers thing where it's just like, oh, your face. I just hate your face. Maybe it's his face. I don't know. Like, listen, would I love him if he wasn't on the team that I cheer for? No, I'd fucking hate his guts.
But that's the point of players like that.
Yeah.
That's the point of players like that. But, like, we're acting like he's the player with the least integrity in the National Hockey League, and it's just not true.
I thought it was pretty shocking. We have a National Hockey League head coach admitting, I don't really like Michael Bunting.
Are we sure that
Great.
Are we sure that NHL staffers aren't just one person who dresses up in different bodysuits? Because as soon as something
Oh, are
gets
we
out
talking
of
about the Flyers now?
No. I just feel like whenever you hear NHL analysts like step directly out of the NHL and onto a panel, and I actually think Dallas Eakins' breakdowns have been really good.
He's been fantastic.
Yeah, Derek Lalonde was like, I think he's very smart, but not meant for TV. Just boring, right? Just a boring hockey coach, right?
His insights are great.
Yeah, a great insights. Snore. Dallas Eakins, I'm like, okay, I could see a future in broadcasting here. And he also breaks things down in a way that you understand. That's what Kevin BX's magic is. He's so good at that. But it is a bit funny that all of a sudden, instantly, everybody has the same opinion about one player in the entire league. Here's what you'll hear analysts actually say, well, this is what a lot of people in the league think. No, the entire fucking league thinks it because it's an opinion. 10 people have it. Oh, now 100. Oh, 700 people have it.
Why isn't anyone like, oh, Nikita Kucherov's one of the dirtiest players
Because
in the
he
league,
scores fucking goals, man.
No, they like him.
He wins Hart trophies, man.
Yeah.
He's all guts.
Jamie Benn regularly tries to injure his
Good
opponents.
Canadian kid.
No, like we just don't
Got a
have
pretty
these
sweet goatee.
conversations. And I didn't bring up anyone who's in this series. Like I could continue.
Yeah.
There are
No.
little shits all around this league. It's not just one guy who plays on the least likable team in the NHL. And let's be self-aware a little bit. He's the least likable player on the least likable team. No wonder no one likes him.
Imagine Brad Marchand played for the Leafs.
Fuck.
We know
No one would like that
He'd
guy.
be suspended half the year.
We know that GMs put in waiver claims against the Leafs just to fuck with them.
Yeah.
Literally just to fuck with them.
Yep.
they hate this team. And this guy is the most hateable person on the most hateable team.
Well, and
it's
that's
ridiculous.
why it makes it so fascinating and lovely and amazing when the NHL's ultimate pretty boy, William Nylander, scores on said power play, which looked like shit. The power play looked sloppy. People forget that.
Puck goes off the ref.
That's right. And you know what? We could use a bounce going our way for once in this series, and it does. And this is important, one of the core four, none of which had previously scored in this series, finally fucking pots one.
Finally. And you saw the relief in Nylander's face, too. He looked like he was having fun.
I think that we'll talk about that. One of the things I think that people were on the Leafs about, if they're going to be on them about anything after the first period, is they didn't open the scoring. I think a lot of people expected, well, the Leafs are going to come out and they're just going to will their way to victory. That's nice, but sometimes you have to pick your spots.
They've opened the scoring from actually 3 out of 4 games in the series. Hasn't worked.
Right. So, but mentality wise, you're like, well, it probably mathematically it's better if you open it.
Sure.
The Leafs draw another penalty at 11:30, and in brackets I write, what is this? As in, like, how did we draw 2 penalties in one period? Tavares drives the net, stopped, but a good shot. Marner has a good slap shot, at least some rebounds. Bunting almost gets one on a feed from Nylander, but it doesn't go in. So Florida kills that penalty. And then right after that,
even though they killed it, sometimes you see a stat and you're like, is that true? They had 6 shots on that power play.
Yeah.
That's
6.
crazy.
Crazy, madness.
Crazy. So then later, right after that, actually, David Kampf gets absolutely drilled by Radko Gudas. And it's interesting because I've got this. I'm going to send this to you, Jesse. Kevin Papetti did screenshots. He had a good Twitter sesh this morning and last night. And I want to show you when the whistle was blown, and then I want to show you when Gudas hit Bunting.
Yeah,
because he took a snapshot of the first, and then he took a snapshot of the second.
It's really hard to illustrate how bad of a hit it is with screenshots.
But we're going to try, damn it.
That's why
until they give us the rights.
I didn't really do it on the LFR. We have a little bit, more freedom and technology here.
So here's Kevin's tweet. So you can obviously see that, bit of a difference there. There's maybe 12 to 14 feet of skating room between when the whistle blew, which is the left panel, and then when Radko Gudas absolutely rocks David Kampf. And it looked like boarding to me, if anything.
If it's at minimum interference.
Right.
I can forgive a guy for being in the middle of throwing a hit and the whistle goes and he doesn't have enough time to pull up. Gudas, between the whistle going and laying the hit, adjusts his body twice. He swivels. He knows exactly what he's fucking doing. And he was simply allowed to do it. Mm-hmm. It's just allowed. It's just fine. It's A-okay. And I've often said this about uncalled infractions. The precedent is this is fine. It's your job to do it again next time.
Yeah,
So,
take advantage of it.
If I'm Gudas, I'm doing this until I break someone in half because I'm allowed. It's totally fine. If I'm Matthew Tkachuk, every time a game doesn't go my way, as soon as the game is over, I'm going to punch my opponents until they fall down.
Can we save that, though? That part? Can we save the punching part?
Like, I know we talk about this a lot, and I've started to quote Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I've had a little bit of pepper on my eggs this morning, and
that hold?
It's yes. Yeah. Oh, someone had pepper on their eggs this morning. Let's break into the FBI. I have been told very many times, Steve, you're whining again. You're always whining about this. Am I whining? Or am I making legitimate points? Perfectly valid points. And you're whining because you don't have a retort to my legitimate points. I'm really tired of the whining, guys. I'm tired of the whining.
Well, why don't you stop doing it then?
Well, no, hey. Oh, see? That was a good one. That took a little bit of thought and cleverness and not just a clown emoji. You fucking idiots. Get clowned on. You get clowned on.
So
I know what I'm talking about. You don't, and you're having difficulty coping with that. I understand. Get some friends and talk about it.
The funny thing is that in all of this, there was a huge scrum in front of the Leafs net, and somehow out of this TJ Brody's the one with the penalty for holding the stick.
And it was.
He was holding the stick, but you could do offsetting double or minors there. Could you
And
not?
it's just not close.
No.
It's just not close.
No.
Now, Brody did prevent a goal.
He did prevent a goal.
Oh,
I don't
a
mind.
call.
I don't mind the penalty.
It's a call. It's a call. It's a call. 100%.
Nope.
Every single time it's a call. You have to call Gudas. That's ridiculous.
So the Leafs kill it. A couple chances right before the clock expires in the second period. Tavares has a breakaway, and then Achari has a break, like a 2-on-1 break as well, and it just doesn't go in. It just doesn't go in. So at the end of the second period, I think you got to be, as again a Leaf fan, it seems like they're building. Right, first period was a good solid start. Second period, they get a goal. As a Leaf fan, you got to be cautiously optimistic. Power play looks dangerous. When one power play with 6 shots, oh my God. Whoa. Good 5-on-5 chances and strong neutral zone play. And I'm saying this for both teams. Florida was strong through the neutral zone in that period. I think the Leafs were strong through the neutral zone in that period. What I thought tilted the ice in Toronto's favor is once I think they were doing more of the taking away. Right? It seemed a little bit more like a structured team game from this Leafs team that we needed to play from game one.
They're patient.
Yes.
They're patient. And when it doesn't work, it's a horrible, frustrating watch. It's really, really frustrating to watch because you don't want them to have patience.
Right.
You're fucking losing. You're not generating anything. For the love of God, have a little bit less patience and get after it. But when it does work, the other team isn't able to do anything of consequence, and they wait for their chances. They're different, very different kinds of opportunism.
Into the third period, Mitch Marner scores on a shot from the point about 10 minutes in. And here's the thing, man. We've been talking about this a little bit this year. The Leafs, of all the teams in the NHL, score from the point the least, shoot from the point the least, and it is maddening. But it goes off a body and goes in. O'Reilly with a great screen, but it went off a Florida Panthers defenseman. And it was sort of great to see Mitch score as well. Again, now we got 2 of 4 guys in the core 4 that have scored this series. Tavares looked dangerous last night too. And especially after the quote after game 3, which is, we're not worried about what you guys are saying. We're only worried about what's going on in this dressing room. And Steve, you said it. If they win this series, those quotes look badass in retrospect.
It looks so badass. And like now,
and he showed up, man.
I look at it totally differently because he said that after game 3, and I'm like, absolutely no one gives a shit, dude. Like, there's no team I want to hear from less after the Leafs lose than the Leafs. I just don't want to hear it.
And it's, again, it's not that they lost game 3. It was how they lost game 3. 1 and 2, understandable.
Yeah. Still frustrating, but understandable. And we've heard so many friggin' words over the years. So many words. Go out and give me action. So there was a stat, it was earlier in the game. Marner has, I think it's 11 hits in these playoffs, and 4 of them were in this game. Like, these guys understand this is it. Last year it was, this is it, question mark? This is it. You lose this series. Well, listen, if this goes 7, we'll see. I don't fucking know. If they get swept, there's no question that they blow this team to smithereens.
Yeah.
And we all seem to agree, and Mitch Marner seemed to know, he's first. Is it his fault the Leafs are in this position? I keep arguing no, because I'm trying to look at this rationally. Is it any individual, Marner, Tavares, Matthews, Nylander, Riley needs to be thrown in there. People forget he makes more than Nylander when we talk about the core 4. I know he was great against Tampa. What have you done for me lately? He's been good. It's the combination of them all. And when you look at the combination of them all, you come to the conclusion it doesn't work, right? If they lose this game, which they didn't. Who's the easiest to move? Well, Willie's probably the easiest to move. But that's because he's the best value. So do you want to get rid of that? No.
Right.
Do you want to get rid of Austin? No. You've sort of built everything about this team around Austin. Riley, I don't really know if you're going to be able to pull that off. You're not going to get great value. Tavares, I don't really know if you're going to be able to do that. It's Mitch. Everyone knows it's Mitch. Mitch knows it's Mitch. So these guys are all playing for their legacies right now. Mitch, in particular, was playing for his legacy, the narrative around him, and to stay on his childhood team. To stay on this team that gives him endless deals, including one with our partner, including X and Y and Z over the years. And he gets to play in the city he grew up in, the team he grew up cheering for. Everyone shows that City TV clip where he was athlete of the week when he was like 6 years old or whatever. He was playing for the opportunity to be a Toronto Maple Leaf. He was playing like he was trying to make this team, because he was. But he's better than he was when he was trying to make this team. If this has awoken something in Mitch Marner, listen, they're down 3-0. It's 3-1 now. It still might already be too late. But if they're going to do this Disney movie thing, it's going to go through him, and it's going to rewrite his entire life.
Steve, everything you said should have been his attitude going into game number 3.
It wasn't. That was his attitude in game number 4.
That was the season.
Not necessarily. Hey, they're still alive. There's a game Friday.
Yep.
There's a game tomorrow.
Friday. Yeah.
I'm with you, Jesse.
There's a reason game 3 post game we all felt as we did, is because we realized all of that stuff, and it seemed like they didn't.
Or at least it came across through their performance that they did.
Yeah.
Right?
So the effortometer.
Easily the most frustrating outcome of this series is the Leafs lose in 6 or 7. Mm-hmm. Easily the most frustrating, because evaluating the team through storytelling, at very least, becomes that much more difficult.
Yeah.
You lose in 4 or 5, you're not good enough. This core isn't good enough. We can't do it with this core. Out with you. Even though you were great in game 3, out with you. The Leafs have gotten into trouble banking their season off of one good playoff game, game 5 in 2019. I'll never forget when CJ came in and talked about that shit. Oh, we played a tight game and we won. I think we should keep it together. Oh my God. So frustrating.
And they've run out of runway for those, because now contracts are up. Dubas is up. Matthews needs an extension. Willie needs an extension. Marner's only got so much time left. So there's not enough more runway for, hey, we put in a good effort here. So your effort game was earlier in this series, and they didn't get it done. So there's 3 more chances to do it. We'll see if it happens, but
it's a game at a time. It's a shift at a time. But I did like seeing that. Mitch Marner was the best player in the Leafs this year, and he was
the best player last night.
He was the best player 3 or 4 games against Tampa too. Like, I don't want to erase that. A lot of people are pointing to his total stats and going, how can you say that he's had bad games when he has 12 points? So it's like, well, 8 of those came in the first 3 games of the Tampa series.
Morgan Riley was the MVP of round 1.
You think so?
I think Morgan Riley played outstanding. It was a lot better.
I think he's that way because he surprised you. I think Mitch played Mitch's game.
He had a point in every game.
That's what I mean, is that I still think Mitch was better. I think it was that Morgan was like shit all year because he had that injury. And then he played all of a sudden great. We're like, wow, where did this Morgan Riley come from?
It's also from the back end.
Yeah, it's more impressive.
All right.
I don't know. I don't think we need to give Mitch more nuggets here.
I think he deserves
back up.
I think he deserves it.
Do you hear the conversation we're having for the first time?
Which is what?
Who was the best Leaf in that series and having more than one option?
That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like, God, I wish they weren't down 3-1. They just shouldn't be, because it really does kind of feel, when you look back at all of the playoffs so far, like, yeah, they found another gear. There's no patience. There's no appetite for trying again with the same group if they don't do it.
See, there's a group that will tell you why they lost. And because they can tell you why they lost, which is a lot of the narrative, and I think a lot of this is true, is that Bobrovsky's having a great series. And I
don't care.
But that's the thing, right? Is it's like, okay, you can tell me why they lost, but that doesn't change that they did lose. Mm-hmm. And so you gotta, I understand it's game 64 and they lost against Columbus and they probably shouldn't have, but Merzlikins had a crazy game. And you're like, wow, look at the stats from this. Leafs totally should have won.
And Korpisalo.
Yeah, or they have a bad 10-game stretch
Yeah.
where they go 5 or they go
6-4,
6-4 or 4-6 even.
Yeah.
Oh, but 2 of those games, it could have gone their way. Bounces just did. I get that. But in the playoffs, the reasons for losing matter. But if you lose, it doesn't erase the fact that even though it's an explainable loss, that you fucking lost.
Yeah.
And I think that's got to be where the definition is. Winning is all that matters. The Leafs got outplayed 3 out of 6 games in Tampa and won all 3 of them. It's I got to tell you, that's the part that I want to pull people away from. They'll fire that this stat or that stat at you. And it's funny because those same people, when the Leafs start slow and we get on them about it, are like, well, I mean, if that's a small sample size, guys. Small sample size. We can't be using analytics to say that they're this or they're that. That's a small sample size. And in the playoffs, those same people will come at you with analytics and say, see, they were great. And I'm like, that's an awfully small sample size, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And so I don't have anything wrong with the analytics. I want to know why the team lost. But for me, it will not excuse that they did. Now they are down 3-1. So stop and finish the game.
Yeah. So yesterday I was listening to Elliot and Jeff on their radio hit, not on the podcast, and I thought Elliot said something that was just excellent because he usually does. And
I really like those STPN guys.
Yeah, he was right.
He was making a similar point to you, Adam, in that with the Leafs here, sports is a results oriented business.
Yes.
It is only about the result.
It's so ridiculous you have to explain that.
Because the organization that Toronto Maple Leafs have built has been so much about process. You can only do the process so many times, even if you're not getting the results you're seeing. Even if the process, their department of medical is top notch, their training system is top notch, their
Great
facilities
scouts
are the best in the league, their scouting department. All of the process seems to be perfect, but the results aren't there. And in sports, unfortunately, results is the only thing that matters. Mm-hmm. So if they're not winning, it doesn't work. And that just sucks because that's how sports is. Either you win or you lose. If the results aren't there, shit.
You just reminded me, did you hear about the new movie that's coming out?
What is it?
It's Miracle on Ice, but it's from the perspective of the Soviets. Have you heard what it's called? We were the better team and we'll get them next time? You going to clear your schedule so you can watch that movie? No one gives a shit!
Yeah, by all rights, like look at the Canadians run in 2021. Almost said 2001. That's a team that rode Kerry Horse like a pony all the way to the finals. Had terrible analytics, were not a very good team, had some great performances from Phil Deneau and Weber and Jeff Petrie and some other players. But at the end of the day, that team shouldn't have been there. We all acknowledge it, and they got there. And do you think Habs fans give a shit?
Nope.
They're like, we went to the finals, dickhead. Not you. So I think that's... I'm getting a little bit frustrated sort of watching that discourse take place because it's like, listen, man, I'm not... doubting analytics, but it's not going to make me feel better when they lose.
No.
So
that's why the deserve to win to meter is annoying.
It makes me feel better in November.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's a process in November.
Yes.
But in the playoffs, it's about the result.
It's a result now.
It's a win or a loss.
That's what the process was for.
Okay, we stick with it. We will see results. Do not make a silly trade that you don't need to do. But like this isn't one bad run.
Yeah. Advanced stats
fuck's sake.
Advanced stats are essentially trying to prevent you from turning your franchise into the Millbury Islanders, right? Where they trade all their good players away because they overreacted, and guys like Chara and Spezza and Luongo and all the other players that could have been Islanders, were traded.
It's also advanced stats are not a blanket statement. Like every game,
you're allowed to doubt specific stats. Like nobody looks at Corsi and Fenwick anymore.
No,
nobody.
Like, I get the Sport Logic stats for the Leafs games and for the Oilers games, and like they show cycle chances, rush chances, slot shots, and all sorts of things. And you can see, analytically, the Leafs caved the Panthers in this category, but the Panthers killed them here, and that's where the game was won and lost, and that's all that matters.
Right. Florida scores. They finally solved Joseph Wall. Kerfoot takes a penalty for Mark Stahl being slow as fuck. Honestly, Kerfoot's penalty there is crazy because he's just fell and he has to get up, and Mark Stahl is slow as fuck. No, he's slow. He's got no side to side anymore.
He's slow, but
nothing.
No, you know what? I was like, I wonder if he skated into Kerfoot on purpose, and then I saw the way his leg buckled, and I was like, oh God, is Stahl okay? Kerfoot, he swept the leg.
Yeah.
Is a call.
It's
a
Joke.
call.
Joke.
Listen, I don't like him either, but like that was I laughed. I burst out laughing. Like I was not caught up by the moment and they got to kill a penalty now. When they showed the replay, I burst out laughing because it was so silly. And then
Just because Mark Stahl has no lateral, which you should use against him.
Well, not anymore.
Zero lateral.
Kerfoot broke his knees.
I think his knees were well broken before that.
It was a Street Fighter move.
Marner obviously almost scores on the penalty kill, but just sort of misses a redirect. Panthers do finally score against Woll. The puck kind of gets behind him. Justin Hall's almost able to clear it, but just, Florida got one. And Woll was solid all night.
Poised.
Yeah.
Poised. He's honestly, as sad as this is, like maybe the best fundamental goalie they have.
Well, he never loses his posts, man.
No, like
Also, I think Sammy was injured and they should have been starting him before this.
Man, they showed you know what it was? I had to shoot the Dangits video last night after the LFR, and they showed the goals from game 2. All of them were screw-ups from the players. Tavares falls down, Nylander falls down, the Matthews-Marner giveaway at the blue line. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking at Sammy on all of those, and I'm like, no one teaches goalies how to move that way. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And that's not Ilya Samsonov. That's not who he is. That's not who we watched all season. He was clearly busted. And it's counterintuitive to be like, well, the goalie is good enough to play. Let's put in the rookie instead, though.
But we talked about this at my Sky condo last week.
Yes, we did.
On Friday, my basement.
I saw, by the way, they delivered your McLaren.
Oh yeah, the Senna.
Yeah,
and they brought it up to the 37th floor.
That was you, right?
Did you see that, Steve? So
No.
there's a McLaren model called a Senna. McLaren's my favorite car brand. I absolutely love them.
Same.
And Senna was the best Formula One driver of all time. And
It's a person, yes.
sorry, Schumacher fans. So they made a car called the Senna. The Senna is $1 million new, or $1.2 million in Canada. And a billionaire bought a condo. I think it was in New York.
No, it was in Toronto.
No, it's in Australia.
And his name was Adam Weil.
It's in Australia, but they lift this car into this guy's apartment. He spent $39 million on this condo, and the car is $1.2 million. And then he had to have it. So he had it brought up to his condo so he can have a car just in his living room.
In his living room.
Which if I had fuck you money, I would totally do that. I just wouldn't do it on the whatever floor of the building that is, because you're never going to resell that condo. Not that he cares, but how are you getting a McLaren Senna back out of there?
Same way you got it in. So I assumed
look at this.
they had to open up the side of the condo.
Yeah.
They had to tear down the glass.
Pull the glass off it. Yeah. I don't even know if it's fully built yet. That's why they were able to do it. That's why the crane was there.
Oh my gosh.
That is
oh wow.
the silliest fucking thing I have ever seen in my entire life.
It's crazy.
I saw this and I was like, that's something Adam would do.
Yeah,
What
I
if
probably would.
the thing broke?
Yeah, I probably would.
Who'd be liable for this $1 million car?
Well, I mean, there's insurance for that, but you can say that for any condo.
So
that's cranes.
So here's where it landed, right?
Yeah.
So they got it.
So it's just
Got to put it inside now.
So they take the car, they drain it of all fluid, and then they.
so this is the thing. Is there an engine in it?
Yeah.
Why? You got it for display purposes. Why is there an engine in it?
So high-end car collectors don't necessarily see them as drivable. They are, to them, pieces of art.
Yeah, it's like you have your dolls. The people have cars.
Okay. The cost of the figures in my basement is probably... I feel like I calculated this.
You've seen die-cast cars, though, Steve, right?
It's like $1,000 at most.
Yeah.
What is a die-cast car?
You know the metal ones that are about that big?
Oh, yeah. I used to have one.
So when you're a billionaire, a car like that costs you as much as a die-cast would cost a normal person.
Yeah.
In proportional
I had
wealth.
a Lamborghini Countach.
There you go.
I don't know where I got it.
Okay,
just
so
had it
Yeah,
wrong.
I had a
Same-
67 red
Same
Mustang.
thing, except if you have $1 billion, you have a real life one instead of the toy version.
That's right.
And you got to airlift it to your condo.
That's right.
How did we get here?
Adam did this yesterday,
Yeah,
and
because
we didn't talk
So
about
what I
it.
was
Yeah.
talking about in my sky basement that we saw last week, courtesy of the agency, was okay. If Samsonov's at 70%, are you telling me 70% Samsonov is better than 100% Wool?
No.
And he's not. And I have to say, the team, when Wool got into the game in Game 3, it felt like the team changed the way they were playing a little bit. It felt like there was a little bit more because they knew how injured Sammy was.
A little too much so.
Well, yeah, a little too relaxed.
Let's
but-
give up a breakaway.
But I
on the
gotta
penalty
say,
kill.
last night they didn't give. They first off, they didn't give up some like the crazy rebounds that they were putting on poor Sammy. But I also think he played a really solid game and 8 rebounds. Like he was like a sponge.
Really solid positional goalie. Re-sign Samsonov. Send Murray to the fucking moon. And Wool is your full-time backup.
Right.
Backup 1A. Whatever you want to make him, he has to be on your roster full-time.
Right.
What do you think it takes to get rid of the Matt Murray contract?
It can't be more than what the Leafs got, which was, I think, a 3rd and a 7th.
Oh,
And also, like, the Sens retained on him and everything. Like, he was fine for, like, 25-ish games. And shut up,
you made Drew audibly laugh.
sorry, he was fine for, like, 10 or 15.
Hilarious.
And then unusable.
What was the first number you said? 20?
25.
Oh no. Yeah, no.
No. Like, he played a few really, really good games, and that was it. I don't know. Listen, it's still not really an excusable trade, especially at his cost on such a cap-strapped team. But you can get rid of him at this draft.
All right. It was the Ottawa Senators acquired future considerations. The Toronto Maple Leafs acquired Matt Murray at 25% retained, a 3rd-round pick, and a 7th-round pick.
Like, you just send those 2 picks along with him.
Yeah. To the next Chicago team.
Yeah,
Although he's way better than Mrazek.
Dude.
Way better than Mrazek.
If you're Kyle Dubas, you go, I gave the Blackhawks Connor Bedard, right? The Leafs shouldn't have paid anything.
No. No, they shouldn't.
I know they moved down in the draft. They shouldn't have had to pay anything.
Yeah.
They gave the Blackhawks Connor Bedard when they gave them Peter Mrazek.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey,
Yeah.
would you like whoever's first next year? Here's a little Matt Murray for you.
So to finish off the game here, Luke Shen saves a potential scoring chance right in front of Joseph Woll, right after the Panthers had pulled the goalie.
It was the only moment in the game where I was like, Joseph, no!
Yeah, real close. But Luke Shen saves the scoring chance. Leafs win, and then directly after, I tweeted this out just to enrage Floridians, but the Panthers did what the Panthers do, and this is a Paul Maurice staple, which is
Prison rules, Paul.
punch him in the face. The game's over. You can't take any penalties. And
It's just fine.
it included a couple of highlights, like Sam Bennett diving at Noel Achari's head and driving into the boards like a torpedo. And then there's the replay of Matt Tkachuk grabbing Mitch Marner, the ref holding Mitch Marner back, and Matt Tkachuk punching Mitch Marner in the face, glove on, a couple of times. If you punch somebody in the face, glove on, in game, it's a big no-no.
Yeah, these are big, brave, tough alphas.
And,
It's cowardly
and Mitch,
nonsense.
And Mitch kind of takes them because I don't think they were hard punches. He just kind of was like, yeah, like we won. I know exactly what you're trying to do here.
It doesn't take a brave or tough man to do that.
I do want to throw this out there,
really
though.
doesn't.
They did assess penalties, and Mitch Marner was assessed a roughing minor.
Like,
I'm not sure for what, but he did get a penalty at
it's
the end of the
all just hilarious, meaningless pageantry.
game. Yeah.
And are they going to get suspended? Of course not. Are they going to get fined? Of course not. So it's allowed. Anything that is unpunished is allowed. Well, they got a penalty at the end of the fucking game.
Yeah. Well, yeah. When there's 0 seconds left and the refs are calling penalties afterwards, sort of doesn't matter, right?
Like, you know, it's legal to sit on Jake McCabe and pummel his face.
Yep.
Yeah, that was wild too.
That's a legal thing you can do in the NHL.
Yeah. Listen, I think I'm a polite person. I would like to kindly, politely ask Sam Bennett to stop slamming people's heads into the ice. Is that too much to ask?
No.
Yeah,
actually, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's George. He says yes, it is.
Yeah.
Remember, George doesn't like the Leafs. He didn't like them as a player, and his actions speak louder than words.
He doesn't like the puck much either.
Dave Alter asked Mitch Marner after the game about does the pressure dynamic change? Because obviously there's a ton of pressure going in on the Big Four. Mitch Marner key among them, and he said, "Who cares? We're on ourselves in here. We're focused on ourselves. We've got to keep this effort up and make sure we bring it back to Toronto." And they did bring it back to Toronto. Now, he was also asked about getting punched in the head. And he said, "I don't give a flying you-know-what about that."
You know what? I'm here for villain era Mitch.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
We need you for 3 more games in this series. And if you pull off a once-in-a-lifetime miracle, you're still only halfway there.
Keith said,
"Keep it up."
It shows how little you got to give us in Toronto. Like, you can serve us like the bare minimum, kind of just tough guy defense, and we eat it up. Like, it's not hard to be a fan favorite here.
No.
That's why it's so soul
Make it to the
crushing.
third round.
It's so
Cujo,
soul
Doug
crushing
Gilmour,
when-
Wendell Clark. That's
when
as far as they got.
don't just show up
Yeah.
or say the right things to the media or be combative, because it's so easy to win us over.
Win 2 rounds. 2 rounds, you'll get appearances for the rest of your life, income for the rest of your life, a banner with your face on it, and a statue.
A literal statue.
They
You
did
gotta
that
win
for 8 games. Steve, who are you talking about? Multiple people, literally multiple people, have a statue and a banner. And did they win a championship? Did they fuck?
They did not
A
fuck.
bunch of them didn't even get a individual trophy.
Nope.
I think Wendell got the Rookie of the Year, did he not?
He might have got the Calder.
He had the Leafs
not
goal scoring record for a rookie for a long time.
I want to
so
say Mario Lemieux got the.
Oh, maybe he did. And well deserved. And then
he was a little good.
Wendell has not. He has he's on the all rookie team. No individual hardware at all.
So Doug Gilmour won the Selke once.
Yep.
Matt's, I don't think ever won anything.
No.
Maybe the Lester B. Pearson or something. Like nothing.
I think he got like the Messier Award.
I don't think it would have existed back then.
Matt's has the Messier Award in 07-08.
What?
And then he was on the 100th greatest players. No individual hardware besides the Messier Award. Two-time All-Star. Matt
That's
Sundin.
it.
That's it. That is it.
He probably got injured a couple times and just sat it out.
He had a good.
Okay.
career.
Yeah.
Dude's a god.
Well, and he was a god because the rest of the team stunk.
Give us a playoff run worth giving a shit about. You'll never have to worry about anything for the rest of your life.
Mitch said one thing last night, and we're all like, all in.
I'm fired up. I'm ready. And you know what? I'm excited for him. I like Steve said, I like villain era Mitch Marner. Okay.
up.
So my next question to you guys is, do you want to do the Nylander thing? Do you guys have the audio?
Yeah, give me a second.
I don't know if it's that big a deal.
Okay, maybe it's not. How about this?
Funny.
It was
It's
funny.
worth a chuckle.
It's a good
How about
little
this?
laugh.
How about this? You ready? Well, Jesse's seeing if he can pull it up. When was the last time the Leafs were swept? What year and by what team?
Oh shoot! I saw this. I don't remember.
What's your guess?
Was it 90?
I'm not going to say.
I don't remember who it was. I don't know. Someone like because the Leafs were in the fucking West for so long too.
Yeah, so they played some weird teams.
Yeah. I don't like the Penguins.
The Leafs' last sweep, like where they didn't win a game, April 8th through 11th,
Wow, that's
Not-
fast.
1981.
Oh,
That's when the first round was best of 3.
Oh,
that's
Or best of
why-
5, excuse me, best of 5.
right, best of 5.
And the team was the eventual Stanley Cup champion,
What year was it?
81. Come on.
The Islanders?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, absolutely. They lost the games 9-2, 5-1, and 6-1. Was not particularly close. The Islanders were very good.
Wow.
Very, very good.
Oh
right.
shit.
Do you have it?
This is post-game. William Nylander got asked a weird question.
Willie, you were asked about saying fun yesterday. Did you think today you were able to just flip a switch and kind of put fun aside and just, I don't know, get serious for a minute?
I've been serious the entire time in the playoffs. I mean, I just think it's in these moments, guys got to play and show what they bring to the table, and I think that as a team we did a really good job of that tonight. And I mean, it's not going to get easier. We know we're up against a great team, and just got to keep digging in and playing harder and harder every game that goes.
God bless him for answering that question.
Why would CJ ask that?
I think sometimes as a reporter you can get a little nervous too, right?
Well, I don't know who that was. We were looking through the mentions and people were theorizing, and someone goes, "That sounds like CJ." And in my head, I'm like, "That does
not."
It sounds like if CJ had a cousin who was also a reporter.
Yeah, and had a raspy voice.
Yeah,
I'm always convinced if CJ wanted to learn how to sing, he could sing the blues. You know, it's raspy. Oh, gravelly, dangerous.
I would be serenaded by that.
This reminds us of the Nathan McKinnon question, which is one of my favorite questions of all time. Go ahead and play.
This is just for you, Drew.
Nate, I know you're a gamer and all this, and I'm just thinking maybe out loud as far as in your shoes right now. It's like, all right, we've done all the thinking we can do, we've done all the game planning we can do. Maybe just fuck it. We'll just go in next year and just not think that anymore and just win this thing when we don't think so much. Am I on the right path at all with this? Like maybe you just guys think a little too much.
No.
Last one here for Nathan.
Oh my goodness.
Man, that was a whole article before it came out, man.
I forgot how bad that was.
You know what? I think sometimes you just get caught in the moment and you just ask a dumb question and shit happens.
Fuck it. You just go out there and stop thinking.
You ever drop something and almost catch it 5 or 10 times before it hits the ground?
That's what that felt like. Absolutely. Oh, man.
Oh, shit. That's a nightmare.
Okay, so the Leafs bring it back home on Friday night.
And then McKinnon not being able to say anything, just fuck it.
No.
Next question.
The little Jim from The Office, they just look.
So the reason I want to ask this is we are playing in Toronto. The Leafs have won one game in Toronto in these playoffs.
That's
one total game.
That's bad. Out of let me think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
They're 1-4. Wow.
How?
Right?
How are they in the second round?
So
Shut up.
How are they still playing games?
Shut up.
what do
That's
the
crazy.
Leafs need to do to win Game 5? When if we're sitting here Saturday morning, and we're doing the show Saturday morning, by the way, and we're doing it as early as we can so we get the show up as soon as we can. Yeah. Shout out to Drew and Steve in advance because they're going to be up real early into the morning.
I threw out there, hey, maybe we should just not go to bed and record it.
Like do a 4 a.m. show.
Just when you're done editing the LFR, you can edit it here if you want. Steve can send it to you here, and then you drive down. And while the time you drive down, Drew's done editing, and then we hit the record.
So
button.
by the time people are awake, we'd have a podcast.
Exactly.
But Drew said he would, but Steve doesn't care about you.
Yeah, Steve doesn't like fans,
and he was like, "Fuck those people.
Yeah.
I am a Habs fan."
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw me wear the jersey.
Steve, why? Why aren't you willing to just sleep all Saturday and pull like a bit of an all-nighter on Friday?
You ever met my wife?
I have many times.
All right. I want you to text her right on the show.
I'm a caller.
Plug
in my phone.
Go ahead.
And be like, she's in class right now. She's not picking up.
She's not picking up. So
no, what? She might be on. I don't know. Listen.
Yeah.
Get in contact with her.
Yeah.
And be like, what do you think about this idea? And you tell her all about that idea.
Okay.
And I want you to see how that goes. You go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all.
I was just hoping you cared about the fans.
I was hoping you cared about my child.
I don't know. I really appreciate everybody who consumes this program.
Me too.
All of the programs on the network, and I wish you guys had that same passion. And by you guys, I mean the guy directly to my right.
Yeah.
You want me to leave that alone all
Steve
Saturday?
Dangle. I know, Adam Wilde, you appreciate the listeners and viewers.
Yeah. I have the passion that unites us all.
Steve, he falls a little short.
Yeah.
I have the passion that raises a child.
So anyway, what did the Leafs need to do in Game 5?
Just stay up all fucking night, ignore all their responsibilities, and sorry, yeah.
I just want to know. What do you need to do? Like, if we're sitting here Saturday morning and going, they won again, what happened?
Man, I really don't think the Leafs game is rocket science. Limit your mistakes. If you make mistakes, put yourself in a position to unfuck them, which they did last night. And it's up to the core four. And people point out, well, the core four have scored the majority of the Leafs' points. Yeah, that's the gig. If you look around the league, that tends to stay true. You look at all the Stars' best players. Yep, that's why they're still in the playoffs. It's only the Kraken who are the freaks of nature who do the entire roster. The Panthers, their best players are their top scorers. The guys who make the most money are their top scorers. There are very few league minimum unicorns out there. The core four have to keep this up. Game 4 was the Mitch game. Game 5 is allowed to be the Mitch game as well. How about the Austin game? How about the JT game? You know what? It's been a week since the last real good Riley game. Let's get a Riley game. Do you need bottom 6 contributions? Absolutely. Do you maybe need your goalie to steal you one sometimes? Absolutely. It goes through the core. Watch this. I hope it catches on. 5.
Oh.
It is the core 5. Willie always gets lumped in there, and I mean, I guess he should, on account of if he's garbage, the team tends to lose.
Yes.
It's the core 5.
I also want to throw this out there. William Nylander has been one of the most productive players per minute on the power play in these playoffs, and yet he continues to get second line penalty kill or power play minutes. Is that a good thing, or is it a bad thing? A lot of people are saying you should roll him out there with Matthews and Marner. Other people saying, well, wait a second. He's effective because he is driving the second unit.
That's what it is.
And
That's
Sheldon
what it
Keefe
is.
will do a really smart thing, I think, is he'll give him the last, he'll early shift Willie, so he gets a little time with PP1, even if it's 15 seconds, and then he brings out kind of the rest of PP2. So there's a little Willie with the big stars, and then he gets the second unit with himself. I don't mind the power play at all. It's been really effective.
I'd like to know what % of the second unit being out there is the full second unit being out there. I bet it's less than 25.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the playoffs. You can run them all out.
There's been a lot of long Tavares shifts and long Matthews and Marner. And it's usually Riley is the first to sub off, and they figure it out from there.
Are you guys concerned about how much Sam Bennett and Radko Gudas and Matty Tkachuk to a lesser extent, but those two big boys get away with on the ice? Because we've seen them just demolish the Leafs like a couple, more than a handful of times this entire series, and they're going to keep pushing. And there just needs to be at least some sort of, I don't know if it's retribution, but I want to see at least some big hits on our end, or on the Leafs end as well.
I just don't know how you could be surprised if you've seen the Leafs play Boston in the playoffs.
Yeah, listen, it's a bad league. We know it's a bad league.
You got to just play within the rules. They know what the rules are, and the rules are you can get away with anything. So start getting away with it.
The Toronto Maple Leafs are my favorite team. The Stanley Cup is my most coveted trophy, and both are held hostage by the least serious professional sports league in the world.
There you go.
And I'm tired of having this conversation every year. Find a way. Punch them back. I don't know what to tell you. The Leafs,
they're never going to out physical the Panthers.
Well, they had a decently rugged game in game 4.
They can be rugged, but they're never going to out physical the Panthers.
They're not going to win that battle.
And you shouldn't try to.
No,
that's their game.
And you don't want to be the team that irks the officials by whining.
No.
But someone from the Leafs, I think, is well within their right to at very least, listen, the end of the game scrum, they're never going to hear you out. Show them the Gudas hit and be like, what the fuck are we doing here? What are we doing here? Call our guy. Fine, he earned it. What the fuck are we doing here? Kampf left that game temporarily. He came back. Who knows if he's all right? It's the playoffs. Players are maniacs in the playoffs.
Yeah. I thought Achari, I'm like, man, if he didn't break his hand on that slap shot he took off it, I was like, please, God, not Noel.
Right off
my
the
favorite.
Inside.
I love him.
Oh, no padding.
I know.
None whatsoever.
But he's a freaking man, and he got back in there.
Since Iggy broke my nose, I look at Noel Acciari, I'm like, how does he breathe?
I don't know, man. When you his nose has been severely broken.
It's a roadmap.
Yeah. Oh yeah. whatever it was, it couldn't have felt good.
It looks like a tree in a Dr. Seuss book.
Yeah.
Like how on earth does that dude breathe the way a professional athlete needs to breathe?
Manages it. Makes it work.
He's just Noel of friggin' Manchari.
So,
Man.
So
That's his
then
name.
why don't we talk to Dave about the odds of the Leafs actually coming back in this series, okay?
Woo! If he says they're the favorites again, I'm going to lose my mind.
I guess you'll find out.
You can bet that with David Bastel. Brought to you by Sports Interaction. Get in the action and make a play. 18 plus. Please play responsibly.
All right, Dave. So for every game this series, the Leafs have been the favorite heading in, despite the fact that they've only won one of 3 games. Where are we standing today for Friday's game in Toronto versus Florida?
Well, significant favorites now. Significant favorites. I know. It's a 1-5-5 for game number 5, guys, which is telling me that the Leafs extend this to 6 games.
Okay.
Oh my god.
All right.
Just saying.
This is going to be so weird if they actually pull it off. You're going to be like, the odds always said. They were always the favorite.
That's what I want to
exactly
know.
what I'm going to say.
I want to know the odds that they pull off this miracle. If you bet right now, can you bet for the Leafs to win the whole series and win the next 3 games? What do you get?
Yes, you can, Jess. Right now at Sports Interaction, we're offering the Leafs to win the series at around a 4.14. 4.14 to win the series.
For something that's only been done 4 times in history?
Well, and even coming back from a 3-1 deficit is like 8%.
Yeah, so it's severely gained from that 1.8% that they were just before yesterday's game, right? I mean, massive jump here. Massive jump.
I think we should have a little bit more value on that.
You know what? I'm gonna phone the value police right after this call and say, let's you know what?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a little like, do you believe in miracles dangle bet? You know, you get it maybe 5-1, 6-1, 7-1. How high can we get it?
So it's 4.14. If $2 Steve puts down $2, what do I get?
Like 8 something.
Yeah. Probably 8.28.
You need a little bit of cayenne in there, Dave.
Yeah,
exactly.
we need this boosted.
I need that a little spicier.
By the way, we've added this. We've added this specially for you 3.
Oh,
Joseph Wall shutout prop, 10-1 Friday night.
damn, dude, I'll take it. I'll take that one. Man, he was playing amazing. Really, the only reason he got scored on was because it was a shitty penalty call. So, I mean, really, it was stupid.
And you know what? Defensively, the Leafs look pretty sound and very underrated. Luke Shen on Carter Verhaeghe at the end of the game, maybe the save of the game. If Luke Shen doesn't poke check Verhaeghe in that situation, he has that open route to go left, and what happens?
It was the only time in the game where I looked at Wall and said, "What are you doing?" Okay, everything's fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, Dave. Well, hopefully. So here's the thing: we're gonna do a show on Saturday and then a show again on Monday. Either way. But I'm hoping that when we talk to you on Monday again, that we have survived the weekend. That's the key. Can you survive the weekend if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs?
That'd be massive.
It'd be massive. And we'd be talking about, I can't imagine how the Leafs wouldn't be the favorite after that. They've been the favorite the whole time.
No.
But we'll see.
Bring on Carolina.
Yeah. Bring on Carolina. Thanks, Dave. I'm going to do my best, Jim Mora. Playoffs? There it is. Are we talking about the playoffs? Well, that's right. The playoffs are here, and your friends at Manscaped are here too, and they're going to make sure your balls are kissable as the Stanley Cup. Whether you're an NBA or an NHL person, you'll want to give your nuggets the best clippers to rid them of pubes and help them see the summer sun.
That's good.
Perhaps in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Don't let your little devil go wild. Use the Lawnmower 4.0 and get your boys as smooth as jazz.
Oh,
Get it? Oh, yeah.
They'll be fierce as raptors.
They didn't make the playoffs.
No,
They made the play-in.
They made the play-in,
The
but
play-in.
that's
I guess
not the
that
playoffs.
counts. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
technically postseason.
You know what I think? That's bull. Oh, sorry. I'm really starting to feel the heat.
Hey. All right, listen.
I battled through it. I'm a real warrior.
They're eliminated, but you can have the balls of kings by going to manscaped.com and using the promo code DANGLE for 20% off and free shipping.
Nice. Playoff beers are for your face, not your balls.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right, let's get cracking.
Okay, so Dave actually just texted. He got it boosted up to like a plus 150. So 550 are the odds now.
5.5.
5.5, excuse me. So Toronto to win the second round playoff series against Florida. So it's
$2. Steve would win $11.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's better.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let me get up.
You gonna do it?
I'm gonna get the app.
He's gonna do it. All right.
We're gonna believe in the Leafs.
Now
It's called belief.
before the Oilers Golden Knights game last night, because they played.
Sure did.
The Golden Knights tweeted this. Oh wait, I pulled the wrong tweet. So they sorry, my bad. I had another tweet that I was supposed to have lined up, but it's gone.
Woo!
Let's just fast forward here. Okay,
What are we doing?
we're moving. We're going into the game, and I want to say this. This series has been impossible to predict because up until last night, it was blowout after blowout after blowout. Right? Game 1, Game 2, Game 3, all blowouts. And yesterday was a civilized loss, you might call it. And I would say that because it was only 4-1. It wasn't 7-2. It wasn't 6-1.
It was 4-0.
It was 4-0 at one point. The Golden Knights did score in the third period.
That's a playoff blowout.
Sure, but compared to the rest of the series,
Fine.
You got Bukestad, Bouchard, and Ekholm in the first, and I think you can't talk about the Oilers and their successful games without talking about Bouchard and Ekholm. Those two guys have been so valuable in the back end to them. Absolutely fantastic players.
Evan Bouchard hasn't been good.
No.
You don't think so? He's on like a point streak.
Not in his own end.
No, he doesn't
need to be.
Defensively, Darnell Nurse and Evan Bouchard need to step it up. You need to run Matthias Ekholm as much as you can and like shelter those guys because they haven't been good.
Now I want to ask
Same with
you.
Desharnais. Like their defense hasn't been great.
Well, you can play him more because Nurse is going to be suspended. So
Well, yeah, exactly.
we don't know the outcome of that yet at the time we're recording this. People are going to lose their minds if that happens.
So, Darnell Nurse got an instigator penalty on the play. How would you describe what happened with Darnell Nurse last night?
They're looking for him to cause trouble with Nick Hague because he's been trying to go at Nick Hague for a while. At very least since the end of Game 3 when he was trying to go him and Nick Hague was like, why would I do that? Like, we're killing you. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
Then the shoe's on the other foot, and all of a sudden, you know what? Yeah, I will take you up on it. But Nurse gets the instigator. It was a great fight. I'm still able to enjoy that sort of thing. Really good fight between two really big guys. But Nurse suffers a often forgot about rule, an instigator penalty in the final 5 minutes. It was actually in the final minute. Carries with it an automatic 1-game suspension that the league can rescind after review.
And it's been done, by the way.
They're certainly going to do it. Like
They must. They have to.
There's no chance George Peros goes, you know what? That wasn't the right time to fight. Do we all think he's going to do that?
No, I don't think so.
Stop.
And to be honest with you, it's sort of a stupid rule. The instigator thing in the why do they have that? I guess it's to stop people from dummying other people, but how would it be any different than what happened in Florida and Toronto? Like that doesn't prevent the Florida Panthers tantrum at the end of the game.
I think you're getting to the root of the issue though. You know what? Maybe they should suspend him 1 game. Maybe everyone who was involved in that bullshit at the end of the Florida-Toronto game should be suspended. Because you're right. What's the difference? What's the difference?
Right.
I'll tell you the difference. With Nick Hague and Darnell Nurse, you had 2 willing combatants. Matthew Tkachuk was just sort of punching Mitch Marner in the head over and over again. If Mitch had fought back, then it's a fight.
So that you had 2 willing combatants, and I think that's important because if you take that and you relate that to the same game, would you say that Leon Draisaitl and Alex Pietrangelo Stick were willing combatants?
Yo, this is the easiest day at the office George Peros will ever have. I think the bar is so low. It's so low. It's the playoffs. We're heading into Game 5. If Petro gets 1 game for that slash, I think people will be satisfied. They won't necessarily be happy, but they'll be
I
satisfied.
thought it was
He's gonna
important.
get one game. I think that's
one
what's good. They're not going to give him 2. The series matters too much, and he's an important player, so they won't give him 2. But it'll be 1.
If he was Kyle Clifford, it'd be the rest of the series.
It should be. If it was Michael Bunting, gone for his career.
Gone. We never see him again.
Yeah, lifetime ban for
Nazem Kadri. Welcome to the
Pete
KHL.
Rose gambling on baseball. He gets a lifetime ban. If that's Michael Bunting. So,
McDavid,
but like this play, like him coming from absolutely nowhere on the ice to just hack a guy.
You know the TikTok dude who chops logs?
Yeah.
And he tries to do it in a hot way for all his thirsty ass followers? That's what Pietrangelo did.
Yeah.
To Draisaitl's wrist.
I don't remember the last incident where it was such like blatant violence in terms of just an attack on another player.
Yeah.
If any other circumstance, this is like 4 games.
Oh, in the regular season? Forget it.
Yeah.
At least 3. And so yesterday I said it's a deliberate attempt to injure the league's leading goal scorer by a mile. And someone made an interesting point. It shouldn't matter who it was against. To me, it does. Because you didn't see Pietrangelo skating at Kailer Yamamoto.
Or Klim Kostin.
Or no, like he knows who he's going after. And if he breaks Leon Draisaitl's wrist, what are the odds the Oilers win this series? What are the odds? Oh, well, Draisaitl's fine. Yeah, lucky that he's fine. We're very fortunate that he's fine. That wasn't a guarantee. So, well, if he had broken his wrist, then it's a different conversation. How come? How come? Draisaitl didn't suffer a broken wrist
by the grace of God, honestly.
By the grace of God, by complete luck.
Yeah.
Like what do you think? Petro had his reading glasses on and he was really trying to, all right, just let me line it up like a golf swing.
No, he was
I
just
need
swinging.
to make sure it's right on the elbow pad so I don't really hurt him. No, he was going for exposed flesh, trying to break bone. He should not play Game 5.
I learned these playoffs how much the NHL takes into account what happened to the player. Like the extent of their injury is a consideration in the suspension, like what they give them in terms of the amount of games. Because we saw it in the video for the Michael Bunting. When we played it here, the Department of Player Safety talked about how much the player was injured. And I don't think that's right. I think like
it's definitely not right in this instance.
We can't entirely judge intent, but you can see from the circumstance.
I mean, it's pretty obvious.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like we can see from the circumstance of what you're doing here and to who the Kurt Conn Smythe Trophy frontrunner, the guy who's gonna break the all-time record for goals in a playoff. We can see what you're doing. We know the intent. Who cares that he's okay? What you intended to do was take this man out of hockey so that you could win this series.
And the cup.
That should be like 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
But he'll get 1 and we'll all be like, okay.
Yeah, like, no offense to all the hockey dudes in this league. Leave math out of this, please. Like, oh yeah, well, it would have gotten this in the regular season, but it's the playoff. Math isn't your specialty. You're not a math guy. Stop it. What is it? What is it? That's what it is.
It's 1 game.
So
it is what it is, Steve.
It is what it is. Like there cannot be. There's very literally a different rule book.
Yeah,
of course there is.
It's fucking stupid.
We don't need to. I mean, we know.
No, but like it's basically in writing.
Yeah,
that's crazy. What's the regular season for?
Well, see, here's the thing. The reason the NHL changed it, I think it was probably similar playoffs and regular season in the 80s. But what they've realized is they got
nothing across the board.
They got 82 games. They got 82 games to fill with all the teams. And all the owners need 41 home games. And if you keep throwing elbows and chops and shit like that, the stars aren't going to play.
You're not going to survive.
So you got to keep them on life support until the playoffs, and then you take it off. That's what's happening. You know that, right? We're going to keep you alive until the race actually starts. And if you make it into the race through qualifying, then fuck it. You're screwed now. Now you're in with the real Lions. And
a man might try and break your wrist.
Yeah, 100%. That's what's happening. Just keep them breathing. Just keep them breathing. It's like this Britney Spears South Park episode where they have her like,
oh my God. You know what I mean? It's so dark. It's
oh
dark.
gosh. And then they turned out to be right.
Yes. Oh yeah. That's
really
the scariest
dark.
part.
Yeah.
But not all of that episode is a direct comparison. Let me just throw that out there. But what I'm saying is they're trying to keep this thing going and make sure that these players, they don't want to have enforcers in the league anymore. They don't want to have, Marty McSorley's rolling around going, keep your hands off Gretzky or I'll kill you. They want to make it seem like they're in control. Mm-hmm. And in this way they can be, because they control the game and what it looks like throughout the regular season. And then in the playoffs, it's like, well, I mean, there's like max 30 games left anyways. Who cares?
Yeah. They don't want enforcers. They just want Nikita Kucherov to maybe just injure a guy.
Yeah. Well, like if Gretzky slashed somebody in the face regularly in this area, it'd be okay. Be totally fine. Gretzky didn't say boo to anybody on the ice. That guy was like, oh, you're not going to touch me and I'm not going to say anything.
The Gustav Nyquist spear in the face is still so wild to me.
Bro, somebody broke their neck in the first round.
And it wasn't, was it even called?
2-minute penalty.
Wasn't he?
Eberle got 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Oh, fuck.
2-minute penalty.
Yeah, a man a couple days ago broke his neck.
Yeah.
Like his career, he's 35. His career might be done.
Could be.
It's all cool,
man,
though.
you could be any age. You break a neck, you're like, you know what? Maybe I'll stop doing the thing that led to that.
Just forget about hockey players.
I didn't like that very much.
What about humans?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll switch professions.
And
2 minutes.
Furthermore, does your neck hurt? What operation do you want to get to fix it? Oh, no. We don't like that. So we're going to hold your bodily autonomy hostage until you get traded.
That's right.
For the price that we want.
So listen,
Jack Eichel's been good.
He's been very good.
Yeah, because his neck's not fucked because he got the surgery he wanted on his body. We don't talk about that enough. People have just gone straight back to, you know what? I don't care for Jack Eichel. And again, I think it's that thing where it's his face.
Yeah.
And also no one likes the Golden
Also
Knights
his
anymore.
routine. His routine was extra, man.
It was very extra.
Okay.
His routine is extra.
A professional athlete likes to take care of their body. Why are you hating on him
what
for that?
What I liked for what I liked and I respected about that Jack Eichel article, though, and his crazy routine is that he was open and honest about it.
Yeah.
It's just such a good piece of hockey lore. I love it.
People
I
are going to
absolutely
stop
eat that up.
doing that.
What?
Being honest?
Being honest.
No.
Because, Eichel did it himself.
Nobody's honest, Steve. That's why it stands out.
No, what you need is Nikita Zadorov to be like, this weirdo likes chickpeas too much.
And then Nathan McKinnon get upset about it. No.
He got so mad that he won a cup.
Exactly. That's what won him the cup.
He should have eaten
Last thing on this
pasta
play.
out of the cup. It was a real missed opportunity.
Last thing on this play. The person who runs up to Pietrangelo and starts roughing him up is Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
All credit to Connor McDavid in that
100%.
situation. That is the face of the league. That's the most skilled player on planet Earth. And he's the one challenging the guy who just tried to strike down Leo Draisaitl's hands. That's all credit to the Oilers. They're playing some tough hockey. Evander Kane needs to play a little less tough with the penalties he's taken, but all credit to Connor McDavid on that.
I mean, his cross-check right to Pietrangelo's face was also insane.
Yeah.
We talked about that last show, didn't we?
No, I don't, because the game happened after last show.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about it.
Yeah.
Fuck. I talked
NHL Network,
so
I think.
much.
Yeah, that's where we talked about
we were on the NHL Network, and they were so good to us. They were super cool. Like really, really nice to meet those guys.
It's cool seeing Connor. Like, it's cool seeing your star stand up for your other star. You know.
Yeah. But like,
good team they got.
If we're ranking dirty things that happened in the series, I mean that's number one. There's so many.
Evander Kane's got like 3 and 4 if we're ranking the list. Like he's number 3 and 4.
Even with Eberle and Cogliano, like. I still think it's a terrible hit, but there's still an element of, well, it's a fast game and shit happens. And you can argue intent there and that affects. This is cut and dry. He brought it over his head like an executioner in a movie. Friggin' like Draisaitl's yelling freedom, and like he just comes right
to me.
down.
It reminded me of The Walking Dead with Negan, where he hits that guy, he hits Glenn in the head, and his eyeball pops out.
Yes.
Like that's what that reminded me of.
I can't go back further enough in the video, but you should see where Petro comes from.
Oh, it's from across the ice.
He's coming from fucking Narnia to do this.
Whoa, Jesse. What were you in his head? How do you know what his intent was? I'm the smartest person on the fucking internet.
Even in this
No one is
angle,
arguing that.
Even in this angle, there's already 2 guys on the puck. You guys, see how there's 3 players there? The one
Vegas is
furthest
defensively
away is Petro. The guy who's 2 guys away from the puck.
With the board about to hook, though, Petro does have the best angle on him.
Oh,
and you see that when he fucking William Wallace's his long sword out.
Oh my god!
Yeah. I'm just saying. You know, okay.
You're telling me this is one game.
Yeah, now, I do think it's funny that there are people
trying to break his wrist,
arguing for Petro in this situation, and I respect you because you're a fan. And fans, it's not about being reasonable. It's about being completely unreasonable. But from a reasonable perspective, he gets a game, no more than that.
Yeah.
Because the NHL wants its stars in the series, and I don't really blame them for that. If I'm an Oilers fan today, I'm furious. And the thing is that thank God Leon Draisaitl even breaking like a thumb.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
How long was Nazem Kadri out last year with a broken thumb? How many games did Evander Kane get for doing it?
How many games did he get?
1.
1? He got 1?
King got 1 game.
This league fucking stinks.
We have precedents.
This league fucking stinks. Any league worth anything, Petro's gone the rest of the series.
Yeah. Which is 3 games. It's not even like a lot.
Draymond Green has done some wild stuff, but I promise you, if in the next playoff game between the Lakers and Golden State Warriors, if he puts LeBron James in an arm bar, there might be a problem.
That's a different sport.
He might, how the fuck? That's so crazy.
Hey guys, if I were to choose a beer during this upcoming long weekend, I would tread lightly from Muskoka Brewery. They've got the super long 568 milliliter can, so you don't have to run back up and grab a new one every time you want one. It's a fresh drinking beer. It's easy drinking, no flavor sacrifice.
It's just naturally closer to my mouth as well because it's taller.
They call it a beer with an approachable profile for an approachable person.
It's a me-sized beer.
It is.
It's tall.
That beer is tall like Jesse.
Hey, and it has a novelty hat.
The funny thing is when we were partnered
No.
with Muskoka Brewery last year, Steve was like, "Hey, this is actually really good."
Oh yeah,
really,
and
really
then
good.
You went to the brewery, didn't you?
Yes. I can't remember when, but I went, and it was lovely to sit out there. And believe it or not, they have Muskoka chairs.
It is. No way. Muskoka Brewery is independently owned and operated in the heart of Muskoka, employing a team of over 120 people. It's a true Canadian handcrafted beer. If you want to go to the tap room, it's in Bracebridge off of Highway 11 at 118. Fresh beer on tap. To-go tours are available. Live music on weekends throughout the summer, and they've got an awesome patio.
Where is it, Adam?
Huh? Bracebridge.
Bracebridge?
Bracebridge, Ontario. And again, so check it out at the LCBO beer store and any grocery store in Ontario. Muskoka Brewery. Tread light. Also, something that we missed that we have not talked about yet is the fact that the NHL draft lottery happened. Between our previous show and this show. And
we haven't talked about that?
No, we haven't.
No.
Obviously, Chicago gets it. Vancouver apparently were awful close to the 4th pick.
yeah.
Real close.
1 ball away.
The Leafs were 1 ball away from Connor McDavid.
Yep.
Yep.
Montreal was 1 ball away from Austin Matthews.
Ooh, can you imagine? Now, the Blackhawks obviously get it. And we're going to talk about how there are certain people around the league, not just fans, that actually believe this was rigged. But the first thing I want to tell you is that the Blackhawks got a huge ticket bump after the Bedard pick was secured. I'm going to read you these tweets in sequence of hours. Exactly 1 hour after. It's 9:37 p.m., May 8th. Darren Ravel, just in the first hour after getting the number 1 pick, which will be a phenom Connor Bedard, the NHL Blackhawks have sold $1.9 million in season tickets, says team president of business Jamie Faulkner. At this pace, the season ticket cap is anticipated. Wild for a team that had the 3rd lowest capacity percentage in the NHL this season. Let me say this. What I respect about you Blackhawk fans is that when the team sucks, you don't show up. And I really respect that. And I mean that as a way to punish your team. Leaf fans will show up anyway. I like the fact that you're like, yeah, fuck off. If you're not going to put a good team out there, I'm not coming. Why would I come?
The Leafs never really suffer.
No.
They just succeed less.
Ben Pope at 10:11 p.m. same night. The Blackhawks have already sold $2.5 million worth of ticket plans for 2023-24 in the 1.5 hours since winning the number one pick, including more than 500 new season plans. And then by the next morning, that number had ballooned to $5.2 million in season ticket packages. That is just for winning the draft lottery. There's huge money involved. And I think this is a reminder. Devin, Hockey with Devin, at Devin, or Devin L., who's Devin is a Red Wings guy. He said, just a reminder that the Arizona Coyotes were penalized more for breaking the NHL's combine testing policy than the Blackhawks were for covering up sexual assault. The Yotes had to give up their first pick in the 2021 draft. The Blackhawks just secured Connor Bedard. The other thing, I think it was it Hockey News or was it Rachel and Mikey that were tweeting about the fact?
Staffengraph.
Yeah, Staffengraph. So they made more in the first hour than they were fined for the Kyle Beach situation.
They were fined $2 million. Now, the argument I've seen there is the Coyotes were fined draft picks because what they were doing in testing prospects gave them an unfair competitive advantage, whereas this was outside of the scope of that. But if that's the case, give Joel Quenneville his job back. He should be back in the NHL.
Well, he is going to.
And no, but the reason I say that is the whole reason he was forced to resign from the Florida Panthers is he didn't want this investigation that they didn't do and should have happened. He didn't want this to happen in the middle of their Stanley Cup run because it would be a competitive disadvantage. Like, forget getting Connor Bedard. Like, no team is bad forever. They were always going to make that money back. I just want to know what incentive there is for them to not continue to be awful human beings. And, like, to be clear, I don't think it was rigged. Am I happy for the team? Mm-hmm. Absolutely the fuck not. No one in this league wanted the Chicago Blackhawks. Like, no one who, like, what do the Leafs play the Blackhawks? Twice? A year? Every team in the Eastern Conference, that fan base isn't like, oh, screw those guys because they have to play them all the time or because they had this huge rivalry with the Blackhawks. They didn't want them because fuck the Blackhawks. I understand.
And they're fans, by the way. The Blackhawks fans are like, fuck the Blackhawks too.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
So, yes, it is important. And that brings me to my next thing. I understand why it's good for the NHL that the Blackhawks got him. Like, I mean, they're a flagship team. I understand why it's good for the league. I don't think Blackhawks fans who cheer for this team should feel any guilt about getting the first overall pick and getting Connor Bedard. I mean, you're still in this. You can't help that you love the hockey team that you love. You love the hockey team that you grew up loving. Of course, you should be absolutely ecstatic that you got Connor Bedard. That being said, fuck the Blackhawks entirely. Well, Steve, how long is it going to be fuck the Chicago Blackhawks? I don't have an answer for you. I'm just telling you, currently, still, fuck the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, show me some receipts that you've... I know they've made a ton of changes in terms of personnel around there, but I haven't
Rocky
seen...
Wirtz blew it.
Well, I mean, I think that was the thing, right? It wasn't just the Kyle Beach situation, which should have been enough. It was that he came out and was like, why don't we just stop hearing about this like 6 months later?
Your receipt is fuck off and retire, Rocky. That's
your
receipt.
Elliot
Fuck
Friedman
off.
on 32 Thoughts. When it came to the lottery results, I was shocked. I can't tell you how many people around the league who I consider to be very smart were convinced that it was rigged. People in the league on teams came to me and said, this is rigged.
The Chicago Blackhawks are on the ownership executive. So, like, when the Oilers got McDavid, the Oilers are not on the ownership executive. And no offense to anyone in Edmonton, but I think they understand it's not the greatest for the league that this player went to a market that small. When the Leafs got Matthews, yeah, they're one of the biggest teams. They're one of the biggest money generators. They're not in the ownership executive.
But see, the thing with the Leafs, though, the way the league looks at it is the Leafs are going to make money anyway.
The Leafs are going to make. Yeah, so I think in a perfect world they would never get the first overall pick.
Yeah, because they're going to make money anyway. We don't have to prop them up.
Who's in the ownership executive?
So it's the Flyers group, the Blackhawks group, the Rangers group, and the Leafs group. The two teams that make the most money are not involved.
I think it's the Habs.
Yeah, NHL.
I think the
Dolan's
Lightning?
in there.
No.
Yeah, no.
He's not.
The Bruins.
Okay, so
is it 8 teams? 6 or 8?
I think it's 8, and I don't have the exact the names, but yeah, there is an executive owners anyway, who are the NHL governors, I guess. Boston for sure is in there, and yeah, I'll have to pull that list.
I'm getting thrown off because Jesse just has a list of the owners, and I was like, oh, there it is. There's the list. So I don't know if Mark Chipman is in there, but yeah, I think the reason people think this is, they were protected every step of the way.
Yep.
Why would they think that it stopped?
Well, exactly.
They're a net positive since their punishment, and their punishment happened less than 18 months ago.
Right. And I think people need to understand what the NHL executive is in terms of the why it's important. If you're one of the 8 teams that's on it, why is this so important? If Gary Bettman wants to do anything, whether it's against labor action like the NHLPA, or he wants to enact new rules, all he needs to get is the NHL Executive Committee's response. You got it?
Can I read this from LeBrun?
Yeah.
So he's talking about Mark Chipman and how he's not amongst the Executive Committee. So Chipman isn't simply one of the 32 ownership voices in the NHL. He sits on the owners. He sits on the owners' executive committee, which consists of himself, Murray Edwards in Calgary, Jeremy Jacobs in Boston, Craig Leopold in Minnesota, Ted Leonsis in Washington, Jeff Molson in Montreal, Henry Samuel in Anaheim, Samueli, sorry, Larry Tannenbaum in Toronto, Jeff Vinnick in Tampa, and Rocky Wirtz. This is the smaller group of owners.
Was on it.
I didn't think so either. When's this dated?
2021. This is about Kyle Beach. This is the smaller group of owners, along with NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman, that wields more power than the full board of governors, in the sense that many items that end up on the full 32-owner board of governors menu have already been discussed ahead of time, sometimes decided by the executive committee. If you're a future NHL owner, you meet with Bettman first, but also meet eventually with the executive committee before you ever hear from the full board of governors.
That's right. So essentially,
if I paid billions of dollars or over $1 billion for my team, and you made a decision without me present, the next time there's a board of governors meeting, we're throwing fucking hands.
That's not how it works, because these guys are all on the same level. But there's some guys who are like, I'm better than you in their little group. They're not impressed that you paid $1 billion. So did I. I also have $1 billion. We're on the same level here. So you're out of our little club.
Cool. Well, take your glasses off if you don't want them broken. We're throwing fucking hands.
So I wanted to add this too, because I think it's kind of crucial just the way the NHL works. Jacobs is the chairman of the board of governors. So if there's anything that goes on, Jeremy Jacobs is the head of the board of governors. He's the chairman. So yeah.
Remember we talked about how weird it is that suspensions are shorter in the playoffs? How long was that Aaron Rome suspension in 2011?
Oh, how long?
I don't know, man. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know what
it was. 4 games, and it benefited the team. Jeremy Jacobs, the chairman of the board.
Oh, that's not good conspiracy.
All right,
and
so conspiracy.
His dad worked for the league.
All right.
Let's not.
No. It's just very strange.
So your executive committee is Chicago, Toronto, Tampa, Anaheim, Montreal, Washington, Boston, Minnesota, Calgary.
I have been told multiple times that Toronto was not on that committee. Maybe they're not anymore. That's from 2021. But I would be. That's why I found it so shocking. It's like, how would Toronto not be on that?
Well, because Tannenbaum is not a majority owner.
No, but it's still that executive does come up with. They are the power holders, and they're the ones that if there is ever a strike or a labor stoppage again, they're the ones that approve or don't approve whatever CBA comes through.
Maybe
Gary's bosses.
Maybe this has been updated since the information you received.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. Maybe Lawrence got in there, Mr. T. in the Leafs ownership. Hey, so anyway, long story short, listen, if you're a Blackhawks fan, enjoy the fact that your team got Connor Bedard. You could understand probably why the rest of every other fan base is like, this is shitty. And I want to read you something that Wayne Gretzky said on TNT February 3, 2022. This is just after the investigations were complete.
Couple months.
After Rocky and Danny Wirtz put out their statement with their lawyer on camera. You guys remember that?
Sure do.
I
couldn't believe it.
No.
So here's what Wayne Gretzky said. As a parent, you're sitting there going, my son's 18 years old. He's going to maybe be drafted by that team. I want to know my 18-year-old son's going to be protected. And that quote, specifically now, I think takes on more meaning.
And this is why you have to think very long and hard before certain people are let back in the league. Stan Bowman, Joel Quenneville. I think people are capable of changing. I do.
And updating their views, perhaps?
Updating their views. I do think that. I think people are capable of change. But you got to think of it from the perspective of that's my child. Mm-hmm. Joining this organization. Do I feel safe with that? Think of it from the perspective of the child. I mean, oh yeah, well, they get to play in the NHL. It's a privilege to play in the NHL. That's been going around. There's 32 teams.
It is a privilege. It is a privilege. But it's not equal wherever you play. Not every organization is well run. Not every organization is safe, as we've seen. I think Wayne made a really good point at the time, and I think the point stands. And I think that anything's going to happen to Connor Bedard? No. But the reality of the situation is it's never the stars that aren't taken care of. It's never the stars that aren't looked out for. It's never the stars that aren't taken seriously, except with Jack Eichel's surgery situation.
Yeah, that was wild.
So anyway, that's why there was a little bit of an outcry to that, a lot of an outcry to that.
The fan base that should be the most upset is the Anaheim Ducks, who actually had the first overall pick in terms of the standings.
Oh,
and in 2003, Sidney Crosby, the Anaheim Ducks. 2005, sorry,
yes.
Sidney Crosby. The Anaheim Ducks lost that lottery to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they were second.
And they got Getzlaf?
Bobby Ryan.
Bobby Ryan.
No, 2003, they got Getzlaf and Perry in the same first round.
Oh, I hate them.
2005, they lose out in that weird lottery. Do you remember? Because they were coming out of the lockout, right? And they had that weird fun lottery, and they were second.
I remember.
And now Connor Bedard, the Anaheim Ducks, are second, and it fucking sucks for that fan base.
I mean, they're probably going to get Adam Fantilli. Can't feel too bad.
I don't know.
I can feel a little bad.
I can feel a little bad when you miss out on Crosby and Bedard.
Shit season they put their fans through. It's a terrible year.
I feel bad for the fans.
Lifeless team.
I don't feel bad for the team. The Blackhawks on the ice at least showed life.
Yeah,
no,
the Ducks had nothing.
They played hockey with joy.
Except for that one game against the Leafs where they kicked the Leafs' ass.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the year.
That was fucked.
Now, Jesse, Steve said that he believes that people can change. Do you believe people can change?
Yeah.
Do you believe that companies can change?
Sure. Companies are people, according to the United States
They
government.
are.
So.
They are made up of people.
Yes.
Do you believe that you can get more oranger than you previously were?
As a person?
Can you get more orange as an organization?
Orange.
My parents
Can you
told me once as a toddler I ate so many carrots I turned orange.
Can you welcome a
It's
new
an episode
era
of Arthur, isn't it?
of orange?
No, Magic School Bus.
Magic School Bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes.
Can you welcome a new era of orange? Because it is upon you.
Oh no.
That's good shit.
It's a good question, isn't it? This morning, 8:30 a.m.
The name of the episode is More Oranger.
I had no idea where you're going. That's good.
The Philadelphia Flyers organization was built on relentless ambition and loyalty to this city, in bold. And then they unbolded after the first sentence. When you're playing for Philadelphia, you're playing to win, and you're giving it your all. That's the bottom line, because Stone Cold... No, that's not what it says. That's the bottom line, Because when you represent this city, nothing less is acceptable. That extends beyond the ice, too. It's about character, sacrifice, integrity, and more importantly, resilience in every single thing we do, and a Rocky statue. When you don the orange and black,
you can't tell when you're adding things.
Stop adding things.
When you don the orange and black, you're held to a specific set of standards, and you're expected to show up and work your ass off.
Orange is the new black.
Every period, single period, day period. That's all part of it, by the way. They do every single day.
This sounds like a brochure for a chain gym.
They wrote ass?
Yeah.
Unbelieved.
Second paragraph.
The Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it.
Well, you're Philadelphia.
Ass.
Yo, it's like it's like, you know, French kids learn to smoke when they're like 4. In Philadelphia, you're swearing at 2.5.
It just says ass.
It's about doing things the right way. I'm joking, by the way. That was a joke. No excuses, no shortcuts. This is a new era of hockey, and we're building a new foundation for the future. New ways to work, new ways to train, new ways to win. We have new voices, new perspectives, and new plans, but this is still Flyers hockey. So the goal remains the same. Win. Welcome to a new era of orange.
So, wait a sec.
Right on the magic school bus.
Beep, beep. So I sent this to you without reading it.
Yeah, that's what they wrote.
Because I saw it going viral, and I'm like, I can't wait to see what this says. Nothing about that statement is about Keith Jones?
No, they have other stuff for that. They have like official press releases. This is about a new era of orange.
This organization sucks.
Chris Therien, former defenseman for the Flyers, broke the news yesterday on Twitter. He said, if I'm wrong, I'll own it, but Keith Jones is your new president of hockey ops for the Philadelphia Flyers. Congrats to my great friend Jonesy. And then he sort of took it back, but we're like, we know. You put the word out there. I asked Flyers Nation about it, and I said, what do you think about Keith Jones? And they said, the positive for me is Keith Jones is a great guy who knows about the game and is well suited to be the face of the organization. The cynic in me says they've gone about the process completely backwards from coach to GM to president, and Jones has zero experience in a front office, and the Flyers pool of candidates was severely diminished because they already had their minds set on Torts and Briere, who has no experience as well. But the vast majority of people like me, but the vast majority of people and me like Torts and Briere, so the conclusion is meh. It's interesting because Briere also was announced this morning as the GM officially. And what is fascinating to me, I feel the Flyers are fascinating. Like we talked about last year, how the Canucks were the most fascinating. How are the Flyers not the most fascinating story in the league right now? That's a very funny tweet. Whose tweet is that? Wow, that's actually perfect because he is orange.
Can you explain it for the listeners?
It's the Alex Jones where he's like, if I took these weight loss pills for 45 days and I feel so much better. And he looks exactly the same, only he got a spray tan.
And the tweet is, welcome to a new era of orange.
Right. And so, but the thing is.
That's what it is.
The three wise men.
You're not supposed to suck in on the before picture, you dummy.
The three wise men, and that is... you got Bobby Clark, you got Paul Holmgren, and you've got, who's the other guy? Bill Barber. Those guys are apparently a major part of the problem with the Philadelphia Flyers. And if you don't already know this has been talked about openly, is what'll happen is they'll have a whole meeting with all the management, and they'll go, are we agreed on this? And everybody will go, yep, I'm agreed. We're all in favor, say aye. They all say aye, and then they leave the meeting and text everybody that they know around the league and go, this is what we're doing, and I just want you to know that I was definitely not for this. And who the hell was doing that? Do you think it was the Flyers' previous general manager who was blowing it to everybody around the league? Or do you think it was the three guys that you can't bring yourself to retire, the three mascots? The three people at the top of this organization, one of whom went on a podcast last year and ripped the other general manager previous to your current general manager who's now been fired and said, well, he took blah, blah, blah over Cale Makar. Yeah. Nolan Patrick over Cale Makar, idiot. As though he knew. And I have to be honest.
I'm surprised he knew his name.
Bobby Clark, who did that, Bobby Clark could have jumped in there and been like, no. But he didn't. I think the Philadelphia. If you couldn't
override that, then you don't belong here.
It feels to me, and I like Keith Jones a lot. He seems like a really cool guy. He's a fantastic analyst, He did 17 years of color, and he was like an incredible hockey mind, no question, whatever. But my problem with Keith Jones in this particular situation has he been brought on to repeat the same mistakes of the past, which is try to get along with the three guys that they should have retired a long time ago, and basically be the soothsayer to those guys because they all respect him, and in the meantime let Danny Briere do his job, or was he brought in to crack skulls? And I don't know that Keith Jones is the crack skulls guy.
So I've been told, like on Twitter and also privately when I reached out, I'm like, what am I missing here? That Keith Jones, awesome dude.
Like, heard nothing but good stuff about that.
Really nice guy, nothing but good things, salt of the earth guy, great guy. Isn't that the bare minimum? Isn't that just what you're supposed to be?
Well, I think I can understand them wanting to have a guy who's familiar with the Flyers organization and Philadelphia, the city. It's a unique place. It's a unique history. He wore the jersey. Fans can get behind that, and they know their fans are in uproar against them right now. They're so pissed.
So many people have been Flyers. It's nice and has played for the Flyers. That's on your resume. Has anyone even been
and has played for the Flyers?
Like Adam, when you applied to Shoppers Drug Mart and you had the job interview.
Yeah.
Adam, tell us about yourself. Well, I'm an awful guy. Just a piece of shit.
Jesse, you have to put the link back up on the thing. I don't know what happened.
Oh,
sorry. Keep going. I'm terrible.
I'm a real bad guy. They wouldn't hire you at a grocery store.
So Keith Jones isn't a bad guy. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. And that's good enough, I think, to get you hired at,
Why he played for the Flyers?
Anywhere.
He's been in the game a long time. I'm trying to play the other side here. I don't have a problem with Keith Jones. I have a problem with the way this organization is set up because fundamentally, the last two general managers were not able to do their jobs properly because of the way that the structural organization of like how you set these people up did not work with the last two GMs who were Holmgren and Ron Hextall.
You hired a former player and a professional career yes man, and both went poorly.
So was it Holmgren? No, who am I saying?
No, it was Hextall and fucking Chuck Fletcher.
That's right.
Yeah, he's a career yes man. You want a yes man? Yes, I am a yes man.
Can I read what they wrote in their press release?
Hit it.
I think it's very interesting. The Philadelphia Flyers wrote on their website, there are certain dates in Flyers history that have served as benchmarks for the new eras. May 11th, 2023 is now one of those days. The new Comcast Spectator chairman, Dan Hilferty, bringing in Keith Jones as the club president of operations and officially handing the general manager's chair to Daniel Briere with the removal of his interim title. Now we get to the interesting part. Some may wonder what this means in the grand scheme of things. Primarily, it means the team's hockey operations department is now being led by two people who understand that the Philadelphia Flyers have a history of being a marquee franchise, not just in the National Hockey League, but one with worldwide recognition and share a common goal of getting them back to that point. But at the same time, they enter this quest with a fresh set of ideas on how to achieve it, one that is different from past internal philosophies and in tune with the current realities of the NHL. That last sentence is them trying to deflect from the internal drama that they had amongst the last regime, which is like, okay, you're saying that. We'll see how it pans out.
Good thing they got rid of all those guys.
Right. So we'll see how that goes. And then they go on to say, criticism is out there that the Flyers have again hired two former players to run their hockey operations. The reality is that such a status is merely semantics. So here we have the Philadelphia Flyers pre-arguing with the comments section, like Steve Dangle is known to do.
Wow, that's a good point, Jesse.
They say, I'll repeat that. The reality is that such status is merely semantics. For starters,
hire someone who played for someone else then.
For starters, here's their defense. Briere played 364 games for the team, but played 609 games for 4 other teams. Jones played 131 games for the Flyers and 360 games elsewhere. The majority of both of their careers has consisted of exposure to other organizations.
That is an elementary school essay.
They went to Hockey DB and was like, Daniel Briere played other places too. What the fuck is this?
What is this? We also have Hockey DB. Thanks, guys.
If you gave me 6 beers in half an hour, I could come up with something better. Holy shit. Holy shit.
And then they go on to list
what happened to the Flyers, man? That's crazy. Like, I agree with them on one thing. Like, they're supposed to be one of the marquee franchises of this league.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're in one of the marquee markets of this
and they
league.
have one of the deepest fan bases in this league by
Just
far.
rabid.
Oh, yeah.
Rabid. Do not wear an opposing jersey to that building.
Yeah.
Unless you're the New York Rangers at the end of the season. Like,
there's a reason why the Rangers fans and Flyers fans go at it more. I almost think for a while there, Rangers Flyers became more of a rivalry than Rangers Islanders or Rangers Jersey.
Yeah.
I know Rangers Islanders is always bad, but like it's always mean. But like the Islanders weren't good for a long time, right?
Yeah,
so it's kind of not fair.
It's a little bit of a better cycle in terms of bloodbaths.
I need to read the second last paragraph to you guys where they directly address, and I'm going to quote, the wise men within the organization. They come out and they just talk about it. So the Flyers wrote, and that takes us to the recent notion of wise men and advisors controlling things and keeping the Flyers like they were in the past. All of that is a myth. The Flyers have very active and passionate
Why'd you fire Chuck then?
The Flyers have very active and passionate alumni, some of whom have worked for the team. But the idea that alumni are sitting around in Voorhees telling people what to do is pure fiction. Yes, they are available for opinion on a given topic if anyone asks for it. Anyone in any business leadership position will turn to people they trust for advice on any given situation. And any Flyers executive or staffer would be foolish not to reach out for pertinent advice from two people who have combined for nearly 100 years of service to the organization because of some false perception that they have a level of influence that they don't. But make no mistake, final decisions on anything, whether made by Briere, Jones, Hilferty, Camillo, or Tortorella, will be made by those individuals or that group alone. Ooh. I can't believe they wrote this.
I cannot believe what you're reading.
They're literally telling us, hey, we're listening to your podcast, and we know what you're saying, and we're not happy with it. I can't believe they wrote that.
The beginning of the letter should have been, hey, Steve. Like, holy shit. Okay,
oh my God.
Nothing's wrong. So why'd you fire people? Why were people fired? Why was there change if nothing's wrong? There's a false notion out there that we did a bunch of wrong shit.
And everything's perfectly fine.
Well, then you fired Chuck Fletcher just because, and in which case I think you owe him an apology. Because that's not nice.
The Philadelphia Flyers just addressed everything we were talking about like 5 minutes ago in a weird statement where they say, no, you're wrong.
Oh my God. That's like a manipulative boyfriend. Like what is that?
I don't know.
That's narcissistic behavior. That's like,
I don't know if it's that. I think it's just extreme denial. This team.
That's narcissistic behavior.
I suppose this team's organized, like the organization behind the team, and I want to exclude the players from that because they have no control over this.
No,
yes.
Of course.
The organization top down has fallen so far from what it used to be when it was a real powerhouse. And you know the thing is, they're going to go do it again, unless Keith Jones has been brought in there to modernize things. In 3 years, we could be looking at the exact same thing. If this structure remains, I don't know how you find success.
Keith Jones' first act as president of Hockey Ops should be to take that press release and go, who the fuck wrote this? Holy shit. That's
Literally
really...
the emperor has no clothes. Like,
yeah. And to be clear, I'm not shitting on the Flyers communication staff. I don't think they had a ton of control over what was written there.
No, the communications director doesn't have autonomy to write something like that.
That's...
And another thing. He's just, you know what it reminds me of? He reminds me of the newspaper guy from the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. You know, what's his name? You always do a really good impression of him. Spider-Man. hero or villain. You know what I mean? He's just it's sort of
Jacobson.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, whatever his name is. But it just reminds me.
What is it? Jonah Jameson.
That's right.
Give me more pictures of Spider-Man.
That's the Philadelphia Flyers are great.
You serious?
I think
Chuck Fletcher. Hero or menace?
That's what I'm saying.
I need pictures of Chuck Fletcher. And I need pictures of Ron Hextall taken down.
Eventually, we're going to have to just keep creeping up higher and higher to the top. And Comcast deserves some blame here for the way, because they're the owners of this thing.
Didn't they hire didn't Keith Jones work for Comcast?
Yeah, he was TV analyst. Like this is their TV analyst for.
So then he just got a promotion.
I guess.
They hired internally.
Yeah.
They went from color commentator to, and like, again, it's nothing against Keith Jones. It's just like, listen, I'm actually talking about the Flyers with some reverence here.
Yeah.
This should be a coveted position that's difficult to get. And
I think that it is, but I think that they didn't expand the pool to what it should have been.
That's
and again, this is nothing against Keith Jones. I'm not even saying he'll be a bad executive.
No.
But I'm saying, what have you changed other than the color of the paint, which is just a brighter shade of orange?
I'm asking, is Keith Jones going to be able to do his best job? Is he going to be allowed?
That is the question. Yes.
Yes. Like, it's nothing against the dude, but let's pretend he's exactly what they need. Is he going to be able to do it? I think what they need is for some people in that organization to get lost.
I'm finding too, it's weird. Like with certain corporations, with certain organizations, there's a lot of people in management and not a lot of people who are just like, there's a lot of people managing, not a lot of people. Do you know what I mean? Okay. A lot of people with the term manager, a lot of people with the term consultant, not a lot of people actually, doing the work, which is why people are feeling so burnt out now.
And who's the first person to always get laid off?
Oh, the person who
do all the fucking work.
Yeah, exactly. So with the Flyers, it's like, how many managers do you need? You don't need the three wise men. You don't need them anymore. If there's anything that we've seen, it's that guys of that ilk usually, unless they've completely modernized their views, in the last 5 to 7 years, they've all gone out of the game. They're all gone. Who from that generation is still in the game and still offering a really great team? Maybe. And David Poile even retired. And I was going to use him as an example.
Mm-hmm. You said something I think really important about how many people are involved in running this organization, because now
who's doing the real work though, right?
We don't know, because there are so many cooks in the kitchen. So we got Keith Jones, who is now the new president. We got Daniel Briere, who's below him. Keith Jones reports to Dan Hilferty, who's the chairman and CEO of Comcast Spectator.
Yep.
Dan's also got an executive vice president in Todd Glickman, who is the executive vice president of Comcast Spectator. Comcast Spectator was it was a company that was originally Spectator that was sold in part to Comcast, the TV company, by Ed Schneider when he owned the team back in '96, I believe the year was. And then Comcast, the fucking TV company, owns part of Comcast Spectator, which then owns the Flyers and the 76ers and a bunch of other things. There's so many different layers to this organization. How can you expect it to be run well?
It's like that episode of Friends where they make a half trifle, half shepherd's pie. It's like, I don't know. I'm so flabbergasted by that statement. It's combative and so concerning.
Well, that's what the Flyers are. They are, when they're at their best, they're combative and concerning. So, like the Flyers brand on the ice is combative. Mm-hmm. So maybe they're trying to be that off. And you know what? We could say all this shit, and then here's what happens. Usually we're like, I don't know how that's going to work. And then for some reason, you'll have like look at Bobrovsky. Look at what he's doing to the Leafs in these playoffs. If you'd asked me about him last year, I'd be like, hell yeah, give me him every playoff series. I would love for the Leafs to play him.
Bobrovsky, who the Flyers gave up.
Exactly. I think hockey it's a weird enough game that, here's the thing, the Flyers could easily be in a couple of years in a wild card position, and then they'll say, hey, see, we were right. And look at that, we're in the second round. What have your Leafs done? And at that point, we'll probably say nothing. But anyway, I don't use the Leafs as your benchmark.
Strive to be better.
But my point in all that is saying, like, you're right. Is Keith Jones going to be able to do the best job he possibly can? I don't see how that works, unless all those guys are really like Keith Jones.
Man, oh man, oh man.
Keith Jones went from TV to president of the Flyers.
17 years of TV.
23.
23.
17 in the broadcast booth, but 23 because he did 5 years with TSN.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they said 23 as an analyst.
Yeah.
So
Like, this isn't Burke working an executive job with the Flames, having a cup of coffee at Sportsnet, and then going to the Penguins. This is a dude, like, he's color commentated more games than he's played in, probably. Like,
that's
he's
really
played in less than
Holy
500
shit.
NHL games.
Oh my god. Well, yeah, probably. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it. But holy shit.
It's a shitload of games. Like, he's got his NHLPA pension. Good for him and everything. I'm not taking anything away from him, but like, at this stage in his life, like, that's an analyst, like a television analyst. Is this the right person for president of hockey ops? Man, I'm not sure.
It's so funny how you called it a promotion because he
got promoted.
He was an analyst for NBC, so technically it's an internal hire.
Yeah, it's an internal hire.
Very funny
They could have hired Jimmy Fallon
because Comcast owns NBC, right? So it's an
I think
internal
so.
hire.
It's an internal hire.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
His paycheck's not even going to change.
This team. Every layer of this is absurd.
Whoa.
Like,
That's just hit me now. I'm sorry. I'm late to the party.
Yeah.
But holy shit.
yeah. Like,
He's NBC's color guy.
Yeah, totally.
They own the team.
That's like Rogers promoting Elliott to president of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
Why
no,
not?
that is exactly what would it be. If,
And you know what?
If they owned
Wouldn't hate it.
100% of the Leafs, that would be the exact same
he'd be
move.
well connected.
Yeah, they'd be very well connected. They'd know what's going on around the league.
You know what I'm hearing is, boy, what a week, huh?
Holy
Keith, it's Wednesday. That statement is so concerning.
Oh, yeah.
They're good at pre-arguing.
Sure are. Well, they could pre-argue all summer if they want to. It's going to matter when they hit the ice, and it's not going to be an easy thing. I'm sure they'll get off to some hot start in October, like the Sabres did last year.
They did last year.
The Flyers did.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
They had a good start.
We're like, see, it's the Torts effect, and then we saw what the Torts effect over long term does.
Get a new brand. That used to be the Leafs thing, starting hot and then shitting the bed. Get a new thing. Copyright infringement. Stay out of my territory.
So, long story short, we can leave it there. We'll watch the Flyers. I will be watching them intently. I'm fascinated by this team. Do we want to do a press conference or do we just want to wrap?
I want to make
We're 2 hours, so.
I want to make a business suggestion. You're owned by Comcast. Why isn't there a regular show, a biographical show about the Philadelphia Flyers and the ongoings of that kooky friggin' front office?
You mean like a reality show?
Yes.
Oh, it'd be brilliant.
Like an all or nothing type
Yeah.
of show. Series, yeah.
Flive to survive.
There it is.
Fly. Oh, no. That doesn't even... I don't even know what that is. Like, what do you...
See,
What are
that's
you
part of the
going
mystery.
for?
Now you're going to watch. Now I've piqued your interest, haven't I? We'll put it on
Flive?
Peacock, which is the streaming app down there, you
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
And it'll be great. Be a
They
big old
didn't
hit.
shut down Peacock yet?
I don't think so.
All those streamers, they're like, all right, we're going to launch HBO Max, and then we're going to shut it down, just call it Max.
Yeah.
And then we're going to start up the next one. It's going to be great.
It's going to be worldwide. All right. You know what? We're going to give our rights away in Canada to the broadcaster there. Yeah.
What
no,
was
we're not.
the short form one that we talked for months about?
But I feel like it's Blippy, but it's not. It's like
No.
Oh, it was
Oh my
Jeffrey
God.
Katzenberg was behind it, wasn't he?
Short.
Show me.
Queeby.
Oh.
Quibi. Yeah.
Oh, guys. 9-minute shows of the future. Or what is it? No, or is it 5-minute shows? It was all it had was 5-minute shows.
Everything was under 10 minutes. Remember that they had a judge show?
We had a fucking TSN Sports Center that was Quibi.
Yeah.
Because we signed an agreement with them at Bell, and we were like, really?
You know, we have like 9 million websites that provide that already.
for free.
Yeah.
But you had to pay, what was it, $10 a month?
Oh my God. And there was no free tier. And then they had to just keep jacking up the price to try and make profits. And they had to shut down like 2 months.
Yeah.
Follow your dreams.
Absolutely. Yeah, listen, you think you got an idea that's stupid.
The people in charge are insane. I'm insane. We're in charge here. Imagine that. That's not, you've listened to this podcast a while. If you come to the conclusion I'm a smart person, of course you haven't.
Hit the extra, Steve.
Follow your
Jesse.
dreams.
Who wins on Friday?
Whoever comes out the orangest. Oh, fuck.
Jesse, you going to hit that
We've
extra?
come this far. Give me
What?
another game.
I can't hear it because my headphones are unplugged. That's why.
Oh, all right.
Like I said, we're stupid.
The Steve Dangle Podcast.
Powered by Sports Interaction. Want to bet?
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.